My apologies. Good evening everyone and welcome back to HSO after our summer break. I notice my sound is a little bit loud, so let's quickly sort that bit out. Oops. That's not what I wanted. In here. There we go. My apologies. Hello and welcome back to HSO after the summer break. I hope all of you had a very nice summer holiday, or early autumn maybe for some of the countries around the world. But we're back with the HSO Gold Star event. This will be round 5, taking over from where we left off last time out at Monaco, and we're tonight, as you've seen, at Pocono for the 1974 USAC race. This is of course the Pocono International Raceway, also known as the Tricky Triangle because of its unusual layout compared to many other ovals around the world. It's a 2.5 mile tri-oval, and we'll be running for 200 laps or 500 miles tonight. And talking about the track a little bit more before we head to the race, the turn 1 is laid out such as to remind us of Trenton's turn 3 and 4, I believe, with a 14-degree banking. Then turn 2, or tunnel turn, is supposed to be a lot like Indy, where we raced 2 rounds ago in May, with an 8-degree banking according to the graphics. I had it written down as 9 degrees, so my apologies. I believe it's correct what Jason has put on the graphics, so 8 degrees. And then the last turn is a lot like the Milwaukee Mile with a 6-degree banking. So a lot of different turns, very difficult to set up the car to work everywhere, so very much a compromise for all our drivers tonight. And while we still have a little bit of time, let's have a quick look at the points in the Gold Star Championship for 2018, where Austin Johnson still leads the championship after having won at Indianapolis, and he's on 25 points. David Yates running second on 20 points. Both of these drivers are first and second after qualifying, separated by 29 thousandths of a second, with Austin Johnson just ahead. Then we have equal third for Richard Coxon, David Junt and Pascal Mikla on 12 points. And now I believe we should go to the track and start to get ready for tonight's course. As we can see, 2 of the cars, and these are of course 1974 USAC oval cars, and they differ a lot from the 73 cars, as was mentioned during qualifying for Indianapolis, which we were able to broadcast. Unfortunately the race was a different matter. But also for this race, the top 17 cars are covered by barely over a second. As we can see here, Fredriksson and Sabre running very close to one another, which should be a good way to tell us what it'll be like in this race. Let's actually jump on board here and have a look, as Sabre has a bit of a moment. Probably both of them testing out the heading into the pits. As we can see, Alan Forster up ahead, of course running with a gamepad, which I can't for my life understand how he's able to do, but he does either way. And here we also have David Yates and Alberto Jr., Alberto Equino, running together, which is nice to see that Alberto's here, take part in the event. We also have Alberto Senior with us. We have both father and son Rideau. We have Steve Parker. Gerard Rion will be taking part. Mick Chapman, David Saber of course. Jan Kowalski is a late entry for the event. I believe he decided to skip qualifying to start from the back. Dave Miller will be taking part as well. Peter Lavac having a bit of a moment coming into the pits. Greg Della Cella had a pretty good qualifying for himself. And Jason White will be taking part. Bruno Chacon. Raoul Jereb, Austin Johnson and David Yates of course. And I believe we are missing a couple. There's Martin Lassina as well. So yeah, we're missing just a couple of drivers here. As we're just about ahead. I believe we're missing one or possibly two drivers at the moment. Unless I'm very much mistaken. Yes, of course, we're missing David Junt and Jan Team, and yes, so I believe we'll have a restart of warm-up here while we wait for David and John. John, of course, making a return to HSO. I don't think John raced at Indianapolis. Although I could of course be wrong, but I don't think he did. And of course David Junt, I'm not sure if he raced at Indianapolis either, but hopefully everyone will have a good event here. As we'll have some beautiful cameras around the track to guide us through this event, which is also very nice indeed. And yeah, a bit difficult to know what to talk about when you're waiting for the race start. It's one of those, can't we just get going? It's nice to see that Mrs. Miller, or in the future to be possibly Mrs. Miller, is with us. I know we'll probably have a couple of others. I do know how to sing, but I don't think that's a good idea. I've been down with a cold recently, so I will probably sound like a frog croaking or something. And I believe we will okay, Jon's still to go. Okay. Hopefully he'll be here very soon, as it looks like Philip Enrique has finally got it all to work properly as well, so that's nice to see. It's nice to see that that worked. And yeah, in terms of driving these cars, they are very different from the 73 cars, where you had to more or less slide the car through the corner with a lot of throttle on, just try to hang on. These cars are far more understeery, and you have to be very delicate with how much throttle percentage you put in to actually get the car to turn, because if you put too much in, it just goes straight ahead and into the wall. It'll be interesting to see which drivers after Indianapolis, and of course practice for this event, has been able to master that. I know that, of course, David Yates and Austin Johnson was very good at that at Indianapolis. But yeah, it'll also be interesting. Okay, about a minute until we head to the race. Hopefully Jon will be able to make it in time for the event. I would like to see one more Swede take the start, just in case. But of course, it is a long event, so we need to get going at some point. So, yeah, we can't wait for too long. Okay, so Jon, you have one more time to try to rejoin, according to Jason, in case you're hearing this over the broadcast. Yeah, hopefully everyone will be able to keep themselves calm at the start as well. It's not the easiest thing to do, but hopefully everyone will behave themselves. Also a suggestion for you, Jon, keep caps lock off in case you have it on by mistake. And yes, I am feeling better from the cold. Just one of those things. And these at this time of year. So Jon, you have 2 minutes 50 until we go. That's the latest Jason is wanting to wait. Okay, so it looks like we'll be heading to the race. Unfortunately, we'll probably miss out on John, which is very sad, but that's one of the issues with racing online. Sometimes your internet decides to play up. Because we're just a few moments away. As the game is loading now. I believe. And there we go. Okay. As I should probably turn the engine sounds on, or the sounds from the game on altogether. I'll see if it's too bad so you can't hear the sounds properly. I'll change the settings, but for now this is what we have. With Austin Johnson on pole position, with David Yates on his outside in second. Third for Martin Lassina and fourth for Alberto Ibañez. Fifth for Jacob Fredriksson in the Foynt car, and sixth for Adam Hackman. Seventh for Alan Forster, with eighth for Nick Chapman. Ninth for Peter Lavich, and running out the top 10 is Ray Riddle. And 11th for Raul Jereb with Alberto Jr. in 12th. 13th for Jason White and 14th for Steve Parker. 15th for Greg Della Cella and 16th, I believe, Jason Whited. 17th for David Saber and 18th for Gerard Rion. 19th for Dave Miller and 20th for Bruno Chacon. David Junt is in 21st with Felipe Enrique 22nd, and rounding out the grid is Jan Kowalski in 23rd. Let's see, I'll probably... well, since I don't know the car and driver very well, I'll keep the name tags on, but very quickly I'll have a quick change of the audio, just a tad bit. There we go, hopefully that'll work well. as the safety car heads into the pit lane. And the green flag is out and we're on the way here at Pocono International Raceway for our 500-mile race. And it looks like Austin Johnson takes the lead with David Yates in second. You see, looks like everyone more or less is able to make their way through turn 1. As they head into tunnel turn at 2. Oh, we have one very wide. Oh dearie me. That looked very dangerous indeed. I believe everyone survived that though, which is a great achievement by everyone. I believe that was Raul Jereb who was very wide in tunnel turn, which is very easy to do because it's not an easy turn to maneuver through. As we have Bruno Chacon and Felipe Enrique dropping back just a little bit, although they have a bit less practice than everyone else, so that's understandable. So we have a couple of groups forming. Let's see, we are on board with, not entirely sure who, but looking slightly up the inside of Jason White. There's 2 wide going into tunnel turn up ahead, Steve Parker and Alberto Iquino. Nice to see Alberto getting stuck in a bit more than he usually does. He's been very careful, very sensible as Jason White lets... Oh, I believe he would let him by, but David Saber ain't quite being let by here. Jason White holds on around the outside there, very nicely done. But yeah, it's nice to see Alberto Iquino getting stuck in here, and Steve Parker as well, as Alberto has a bit of a run here going up the inside. Let's see, will he be able to? Yep, he does. Steve Parker lets him by and goes for the cutback. Let's see, very nice move if he can pull it off, and it looks like he will. If only just. This is really close. Alberto has to draft from the cars in front, but on the wide line through there, that's not where you want to be. As Jason White has also been passed by Gerard Rion behind here. Oh, and we have a crash! Oh no, that's Alberto Ibañez! And we have the yellow out, and Alberto unfortunately has retired. Although, of course, hitting the wall is in these oval races more or less means you're out, which is very unfortunate, but the yellow flag is out for us for the first time this evening after about 3 laps of racing. They did give it a quick try, fair try.
Sound muted. Sound resumed.
So I'm just trying to sort out what's going on with mine. Here we go, okay. So some slight bit of trouble with my controls. As we have now Austin Johnson still in the lead, having held on to the lead from the start. David Yates in second. Jacob Fryksen has climbed up to third. I believe he started 5th. Manuel Sina has climbed up a little bit as well to 4th. Alan Forster in 5th. Lavac 6th. Jereb 7th. Hackman 8th. Chapman 9th. And Ray Riddle rounding out the top 10. With Steve Park in 11th. Alberto Iquino very nicely in the middle of the field in 12th. 13th for David Saber. 14th for Gerard Rion. 15th I believe for... 14th for Jason White. 15th for Greg De La Cella, very nice start for him. Dave Miller's climbed just a little bit up into 16th. 17th for Jason White and 18th for David Junt. 19th for Jan Kowalski, and rounding out the top 20 is Felipe Enrique and Bruno Chacon in 21st. As Alan Forster is using the same tactic he used in Kart 88 and the first round at let's see if I can remember where that was. Phoenix, the oval at Phoenix, he pitted on during every jello and amazingly got away with the win there. Which is a very nice effort. Let's see, I believe it should be one more lap, it is indeed, so let's have a quick look at one of our upcoming events here at HSO, which is the nearest race is the next round of the Can-Am Championship. I believe it's the second to last event. It is indeed, I should be reading the information that it's from Laguna Seca, the old 1971 layout, so the one that is nearly like an oval with the corkscrew to cap it off, which I think will be fantastic to watch with these Can-Am cars racing there. And that's Sunday, September 23rd at 2000 Paris time, so the event starting at the same time as this one. It will surely be a very interesting event indeed, as they're heading through Tunnel Turn, and it looks like the safety car will head in this time by, if I'm reading the body language of the safety car correctly. As I'm just having a look to see what's going on the other side of things. Okay, so another lap. Hopefully this will be the last lap of this yellow, so we can get some more racing under our belts and leave everyone partaking in the event feel more or less the same. Because you do build up quite a bit of tension as you prepare to race, as David Junt has also pitted, I believe, as it looked like the safety car was heading away from the field, but that was probably an optical illusion from where the camera angle was. Looks like everyone is in higher revs now, so this should be, yep, the safety car is heading in, as they are having to hold up just a little bit to wait for the safety car, and that's the green flag back out, and we're racing once again here at Pocono, and it's it'll be a free wide here. It looks like the top 5 is breaking away a little bit from the rest of the field. Oh, there's side-by-side contact between Lavach and Jakes. Oh, that was very close to a big crash. So Jakes lost out on that restart. You see, it looks like everyone else has gotten through turn 1 okay. You can see that Alan Forster has climbed 1 position since the start. And the car sounding beautifully, as we have David Jakes looking up the inside of Lavach here. Almost a bit more contact right there. We can see the McLaren of Lavach being attacked by, I believe that's an Eagle, that Eagle 72 that David Jakes is racing here. as he slices up the inside of Lavage and holds the line very nicely and gets the position done. And now Lavage is under pressure from his countryman Lacina as well, but Lacina backs off, so he doesn't want to fight too much. And here's the Coyote 74 of Jakob Fredriksson sitting as second at the moment as they head through Tunnel Turn. Or we can see, I believe that was someone a bit wide going through Tunnel Turn. I believe that could possibly have been Alberto Junior right there. You can see Alberto struggling a little bit with understeer in Big Bend, which is turn 3 and 4. It looks like everyone is still racing that took the green flag this time around, as Felipe Enrique was having a bit of a look at Alan Forster, but backs off. Oh, and here is another position swap. Greg De La Cella has a bit of a moment going through turn 1. And loses a position. It looks like he'll lose the second position as well here, as Dave Miller looks up the inside and gains 1 spot. And that's one of the difficulties around this place. Once you get out of the groove, you lose a lot of pace. And Kowalski ain't quite brave enough to try and look up the inside of Greg there, so Greg holds on to that position for now. You can see right here Mick Chapman in front of a big but a small train, with Steve Parker trying to look up the inside of Adam Hackman. Side by side through turn 1, just about gets the overlap and the position done. And now Ray Riddle is trying to look for a position, as is Alberto Aquino as well. And Alberto gets 2 positions for the price of 1. A great exit out of turn 1. And then a little bit of understeer in the dirty air from Steve Parker's car, but it looks like it cost Ray and Adam more. As they now battle for, I believe it's just outside top 10, it's actually 4th position. And some very close racing early on in this race, I must say, as David Yates has climbed up to 2nd and gotten past Jakob Fredriksson. You can see the field streaming past as Jason Whiten and Dave Miller is fighting for position. Let's head down there actually to see how that plays out. It looks like Dave Miller actually will lose 2 positions here. We can see here Alan Forster's slight strange driving. That's of course because he uses the game pad. It looks like he has the position done here. He does indeed. As Dave Miller tucks in behind to try and use the draft to his advantage now. Considering the slowdown, it looks like we have a safety car for some reason. I haven't been able to find out why. It doesn't seem like anyone has crashed as such, unless there's some damage to some car I didn't notice. No, it doesn't look like anyone has crashed, but it does seem like we have a yellow out, which is unfortunate if there weren't someone out, but possibly someone who span and dropped back quite a bit. But we could see there that unless second place slowed down a lot, that Austin had worked out quite the lead gap to David Yates and the rest behind him. So I'll just send a message here. Because it looks like we'll have a color commentator join us very soon here. In the form of my old sparring mate, Actually, why David Yates is now ahead of Austin Johnson, as we are joined by Alberto Ibañez. Good evening, Alberto.
Well, not so good for me.
Well,
But actually, I hope that it's a great evening for everybody. For me, I feel right now as the stupidest driver in Earth. But I guess that's normal when you make such a stupid driving error.
yeah, I only saw you in the wall, but what actually happened to you?
I just miscalculated it a bit. I didn't brake enough for the turn. And well, I was a bit distracted because I think I had realized that I had a too short gear ratio for the race, and I was hitting the red zone when I was in the slipstream. So well, like I said, I was a bit distracted because I was trying not to hit it too hard, and at some point I miscalculated there in the kink because it's actually a quite difficult turn. But anyways, that gives me the opportunity to broadcast with you.
Of course.
So,
thank you very much for joining me. Of course, this gives us a chance to talk a bit more about the cars, because my knowledge is limited. I know you have quite a bit more knowledge. At least I believe you have.
I hope I do,
as a modder.
since I had such an active role in developing the mod.
Indeed. As we can see, quite a long stop for two cars here. Look, possibly a bit of damage to both. It's Greg Dellacilla and not sure who's driving number 40 tonight, as he just gets going now.
The Adam Hackman.
Will be close. Be close for both of them. I hope they beat the safety car. You better get going, Greg. Oh, that's a very close call, but they managed to beat the safety car out, which is nice to see. Yeah,
so that gives them the chance to join the queue and not be a full lap down.
Indeed. I don't think they would have wanted to cut it quite that close, even though it's under yellow, as David Junt is into the pits for fuel and tires, as is Jan Kowalski.
Yes, they are probably trying to do something different to the rest of the teams and get out of sync with the pit stops, in the hope of having a better chance of getting a good position.
Indeed. It looks like it was... Well, yeah, I don't know if... is it worth only changing one side of the car in terms of tires around here?
I think it'd be worth if you are in your last stint and you really want to save some time because you're fighting for position and it's really that close. But otherwise, I don't think there is any good reason to do that.
Then I'd assume that both Greg and Adam had a slight bit of damage that they wanted to have repaired. Seeing as they were stationed here a lot longer than both David and Jan was just a moment ago.
Yeah, having damage in an oval is really hard. I mean, it makes the car simply impossible to drive. So on a road course, you might eventually drive around the problem that your car has. But here it's impossible because you're going so quick, especially in these fast ovals, 2.5 miles. You're going so quick that anything that is unstabilizing your car is really critical here.
Indeed. As in all 500 miles, pretty much the first 2/3 or even 3/4 of the race is simply transporting yourself to be in a position to challenge the last bit of the race. So, despite there being a lot of racing early on here, I'm not sure everyone is overly happy to have that racing going on. As the revs rise here, as David Yates will be leading the field to the restart, so looks like we'll be back racing again, this time by.
this is the last turn is very complicated to do in terms of accelerating out. So it's always very delicate to have here the restart. Because the car is going to spin.
David Yates had a bit of a bad restart, talking about getting the power down. As holy, does Jacob pull that off? Maybe.
Yeah, he so far, yeah, but Austin is in the inside.
Oh, this will be close.
He manages to, yeah. Jacob is not dicing it there. That's certainly a very wise move.
Oh, he is actually dicing. He's still staying around outside.
Yeah, but I mean, not in the middle of the king.
No, of course. That's as Austin takes the lead. And we have again David Yates losing out on the restart.
Now Peter Lavak has joined the fun also.
Well, these 5 has been in the top 5 since pretty much the start of the race. And David Yates looking for the run. Oh, don't make it 3 wide into turn 1 here, lads. And David Yates is the most sensible of all 3, I believe, backing out of that. Always Lavach, I believe, just nudged the wall a little bit around outside. There goes David looking for the outside.
Yeah, a bit of it won't be a problem, but if you hit it harder, it will bend the suspension. Oh, now David Yates has entered. That's what happened to me before. And look, same thing, but for me it was a bit harder, and the car got damaged that I could not fix. I'm sure that in David Yates' hood now the car is signaling that it has some damage. He will be probably trying in the next turns to see if it is critical or not. I believe it won't be, but we'll see.
It's definitely still side by side going into turn 1. Looks like David should have the run around outside here and get the run up the turn, possibly. Yep, he does. And finally he secures 4th position.
There goes Lavak.
Yeah, back past. And David looks for the run.
The exit of the turn wasn't good, and that has given David Yates the opportunity to fight back.
Indeed, and he does. Can he hold the inside line and close off?
He also got a better line to the corner, I believe. He will be powering out better.
Oh, no, actually not. He had he had to go very tight on the exit, so Lavach has a bit of a run.
Yeah, probably because the car didn't enter the turn composed enough.
And up the inside again. We have behind Steve Parker and Raul Jerev fighting for 6th as well. I believe that should be. You can see the whole field streaming by.
Now they're coming to the kink. This is a very critical turn. It's so easy as it happened to me to hit the wall here. Because that's basically just one trajectory. And you have to go much slower if you want to take a different trajectory through this turn.
Lavach with a big twitch trying to get the power on out of the last turn. That looked very scary indeed. I know for sure I wouldn't have been able to save that one. I don't know if is the old bump that we had in 73 still coming out of the last turn as well.
In these cars you won't notice it that much, because they have much more suspension trouble than the Kart 88 ones, and they of course have a much softer ride. Back then it was, in the 70s it was aerodynamics, but still you wanted a lot of suspension compliance and softer springs and all that.
Of course. Oh, is your son Alberto Jr. is getting stuck in as well here yet again, or he's been actually dicing for the first time, I believe, since he joined HSO. He's in the middle of the field and fighting very well to keep on to his position and look for positions of his own, as Ray now looks up the inside. Definitely a good sparring partner to have when you want to learn. This Ray is very fair and very considerate, as Chapman now has a run up ahead. Jereb was holding both of them up. Looks like
A little I'll touch the wall slightly.
Yeah, dirty air from 3 cars causing that.
Yeah, you have to account for the dirty air because he's now closer to the car. But I think it's also part of what happened to me before. I didn't calculate well that I was a bit of in dirty air.
Ooh, and here he comes up the inside, going into turn 1, up the inside of Steve Parker. And Steve, another very good driver to race with. Gives a lot of room and holds it around outside. And Ray also trying to buy into this just a little bit, as Chapman has to run ahead of these 3 on roll. And I believe he touches the grass on the inside, but I believe he took the position. He has indeed. And again, I'm not sure this is what all of them want to be doing, fighting this early on in the race, but it's good fun to watch. As David Young and Dave Miller also has a bit of a fight going, as does Adam Hackman and Gerard Brion.
It's a bit of a mixed feeling thing, you know, because on one hand you want to take it easy on a long race, and on the other hand you know that if you lose the pack that you are fighting with, it might be a bit difficult to catch up. It's true, you might be lucky with the yellow, but the yellows are a double-edged sword also, because it can happen that the cut when the pace car comes out to the track doesn't benefit you at all, but instead it leaves you split, completely split behind the field.
Indeed it could, and as you said that, they were going side by side through tunnel turn in the kink, Gerard Brion and Adam Hackman, making it look fairly easy actually, but of course going slower because they were doing that. Now it looks like indeed Jason White has decided to buy into this fight as well, for I believe from about from 7th or 8th in the field, as he has Jason White for company as well. As Ray has a big moment coming through the kink, and I believe this is all Jason will want to get that position. As he's in Mario Andretti's, is that the VPJ?
Let's see, Wright Riddle's car is a bit more aerodynamic, so it's slightly more top speed than the Eagle 74.
Quite so, but very
really
nicely.
a matter of how well you come out of the previous corner.
Very much so. Because of the way the track looks, you really need to compromise the setup, so you can be fantastic through turn 1 and possibly turn 2, but then you have nothing in turn 3.
Yes, the Pocono is called the tricky triangle, and it's certainly not something that was done without previously thinking about it, because it's really tricky. I mean, in turn 1, with the same setup, in turn 1 you will always understeer. In turn 2, in the kink, it might be neutral, or depending on how well you take the corner, if you arrive at the proper speed. And in turn 3, it will certainly oversteer and make it very difficult for you to put the power down. So setup is here, yes, as you said, a big compromise. You know you will have to exercise lots of restraint in one of the turns, so it's a matter of picking your poison.
Indeed. Oh, David Yates! Oh, nicely saved, my friend. Wow. He tried to put the power on and coming out of the last turn, and had an almighty slide going on, but a very nice save, to say the least. Let's have a ride on board here very quickly on the replay, as he's trying to. Oh, it looks like he just gets out of the dirty air, and with the throttle percentage he had, the extra downforce on the front caused him to have a big slide. But he only lost 1 position. Which is very impressive, but here comes his sparring partner Peter Lavach back to have another go. Looking up the inside. wasn't quite able to do so, but while the others fight, Austin Johnson is streaking away with the lead here. I believe he actually has makes no difference, 6 seconds in hand over Jakob Fredriksson in second. As we can see, pairs and groups forming now. It looks like it's 2 by 2 for a lot of the guys outside the top 5, with Alberto Jr. leading that group of cars, as he has a bit of a moment through tunnel turn. This should open up for Steve Parker if he wants to go for it, and he does. And that's a position gain for Steve.
Ooh. That was some power sliding up there.
Indeed. But very nicely held, and here comes Alberto back at him. Looking around outside. That was close. That's possibly a bit of the inexperience from Alberto showing there, that he looked like he turned in a bit too much, and at the same time Steve possibly had a bit of a understeer going as well. Some very nice racing going on, but it looks like most of the field has actually sort of stretched
well, David
out.
Jacks is now trying to get Martin Latina's position, and Martin wants none of that, of course. Jakob has opened a bit of a gap, and I think that these three have been hampering each other a bit, and that has allowed Austin to open a bit of a gap.
Indeed, and we can see that right there, Peter Lavach in the Rutherford's automobile actually had a bit of a lift going down the straight, so he's not wanting to fight right now. But Martin runs wide in the last turn, and here comes David trying to just about has to overlap to get up ahead of Yates there. And here comes David looking up the inside of Martin going into turn 1.
And Peter Lavach there, always prepared in case one of the cars in front has a bit of a problem and can't accelerate well out of the corner. Look at Latina now. I hope that Latina realizes, yes, that Peter Lavach is on the side. Yes, but this is something you can always expect from Martin Latina. I mean, he's a great racer, has lots of situation awareness, and well, he's not able today to display that he's one of the best late breakers in this league, but he can show his driving quality in many other ways we're seeing.
Indeed. It's very difficult to prove your braking prowess when there's pretty much no braking to be had. I mean, he could gain maybe a second or two in the pits if he knows exactly when to brake and how to get the car slowed down.
We're actually braking here for all 3 turns. We're braking with the cars before, not just lifting, especially at turn 1. We're braking against the corner, so to speak. So you have to get a balance between turning and braking, so that it is the quickest. And of course, the better drivers are seen there. But it's not as when you are doing road braking, that you are braking somehow in a straight line and want to really kill the car before the corner. That's where Martin really shines. He does a fantastic job with it.
Indeed, and that's one of the reasons he's up there fighting for top positions.
So little Alice in the pit.
First,
probably run out of fuel.
I believe he'll be the first stopper who stops outside of a yellow flag.
They'll consider Rion now. Maybe we will start seeing. ¿Qué ha pasado?
Because it looks like there's some discussion going on in the Ibañez household.
Yeah, Little Al was telling me that he had a bit of damage and that he will be sitting in the pits for some seconds now.
Ah, that's unfortunate. He was doing a great job up until that point.
Yeah, well, it's a very long race, so, but it hurts a lot to have to stop during green light condition. Let's see, because if they are starting now the pit stops, Austin Johnson, yeah, there he goes into the pits.
And here comes Alberto out of the pits. I believe he'll just about manage to lose only one lap with his repairs.
Do we have... No, we're racing, there's no safety car.
Yep.
So everybody has had to pit on the green, so in the end it wasn't that much of a tragedy. But the extra time because of the repairs, for those who have hit the wall...
Ooh, dearie me, that's close in the pits, sorry to cut you off. Austin was getting out of his pit stall as Steve Parker was heading into his, and Steve had a pit stall just in front of Austin.
Yeah, and that's even when you are on such a wide lane as we have here in Pocono. But now I think it will be interesting because we will be able to see Austin Johnson fighting it out in traffic. And here is something we can learn about his car now, because he's set up, I believe, with very little wing, because he's a master in those conditions. So we will see how he fares out now in traffic, because he obviously knows that he's a very quick guy and that he is expected to be at the front normally. But that means usually that you don't want to have such a setup that gives you so much oversteer, that you can't really put the power down. So this is something for what you can pay now dearly when you're in traffic, because you need lots of fight on the front.
Indeed, well, it looks like he has his...
When it comes to passing other cars.
Yeah, well,
especially when it's cars that are already on his pace.
Well, it looked like he lost a little bit of time actually in the traffic then. He didn't get a couple of clean laps, which Jacob did, and Jacob now came out in front of Austin. And Austin still having to work on Jan Kowalski. Looks like he now will look up inside. Ooh, actually not, Jan Kowalski holding it around outside. Of course Jan stopped on the yellow, so he has a few more laps of fuel in the car. But here comes Austin with a run. And that should be the position done. Else also coming out of the pits is Bruno Chacon after a second pit stop. Don't know if he has some damage that he's trying to...
Visually, Austin is closing with Jakob Fredriksson. There in the straight, it clearly has less wing.
Indeed, and it looks like the pit stops... Looks like the pit stops has shaken it up quite a bit, yeah. It's actually Ray Riddle had a lead for a moment. Now it's Alan Forster who's...
White is now coming to pit.
Yep, as does Ray, as Austin goes by. And as you say, it's definitely closing on Jacob. But Adam Hackman, David Junt and Alan Forster is still to stop. I believe all three stopped under the most recent yellow. And I can't help but feel impressed by Alan Forster's ability to drive the car.
Alan Gamepad Forster.
Indeed.
So Austin is already behind Jakob Fredriksson. Let's see what happens now, because getting there is one thing and passing is another, but with the low wing setup that he has, it would surprise me much if it doesn't take him easy in the straight. Let's see.
It looks like he's waiting until after the turn. So you're probably right. And, I believe Austin has the Offenhauser, but while Jacob of course has the Void.
A bit more power thanks to the Void engine, and the car is also quite more aerodynamic. The nose in the Coyote also isn't affected as much by traffic as is the case in the Kingfish. But this time it's Austin who's behind, so not that Jakob is benefiting from that.
But Austin looking for the run coming out of Big Bend, and it looks like he'll now have possibly an opportunity to get by. He looks up the inside. I don't believe Jakob fights that too much. He doesn't. He slots in behind.
No, Jakob is a very calculating driver. I mean, if he knows that Austin is quicker, he won't be. He probably will just try to stay with him and using the toe to get back whatever he loses, and hope that there are later traffic yellows or other incidents that can benefit him. But so far on full tank, it seems that Jakob is having a bit of trouble following Austin.
Yeah, well, it's very difficult to read these cars sometimes, but it definitely seems like Austin is a little bit quicker, and both of them are closing in on the three in front, so... but of course, talking about Jakob's as a calculating driver, he did win the Pocono 500 when we ran it as the... I believe we won it both when we ran it as the 70th. No, we didn't win 88, that was the Swiss lockout of the 500s, but he did win the 73 event running the Coyote 73 that year. Through, I believe he mainly won it through strategy with fuel, but he does have that history with him. And another nice thing to see is inside the top 10 at the moment is Greg Della Cella in the number 76.
Yes, he is. Probably, even after having done such a long pit stop with repairs, but... Oh, he's shooting the wall now on exit. He must take into account that the aerodynamic effects. He was too close to Jan Kowalski's car, and you have to wait a bit more before releasing the car, because otherwise the front washes out.
Indeed, but hopefully his car has sustained no major damage and he can keep on going. Because I'd love to see him get at least the top 10 here. He's not one of our fastest drivers in HSO, but he's always very nice, very sporting, and very helpful when he can help, from what I've experienced.
And meanwhile, Aaron Forster still in the lead, followed by David Junt. They are both passing now Gerard Rion. Forster has already done, Junt is coming now.
It looks like
and Austin Johnson is closing from behind to these two.
Indeed, and Alan of course must have got held up by Gerard, because David is a lot closer now than he was before. Oh, but Gerard is very quick in a straight line, at least compared to David. So Alan is pulling away again. Now Austin has to dispense with Felipe Enrique, which he does now down Long Pond Straight.
Actually his teammate.
Oh,
because it's both Kingfishers.
Alright, I didn't realize that. We can see a bit further behind. Looks like Steve Parker lost out a lot during the pit stops as well. Looks like he's off the lead lap. Peter Lavac is closing in on both Greg and Kowalski, as Greg now heads into the pits. So he must have been doing a very good job with the fuel, because I don't think he's been in the pits before. That's a very nice long stint. If he can do that, he could possibly save the pit stop on everyone else. Junt still haven't gotten by Adrian, as Junt now heads for the pit lane by the looks of things, as does Alan Forster, while Adam Hackman goes on for another lap. Unfortunately, Greg is still in the pits. I don't know if he's decided to repair damage, as Jan Kowalski also heads into the pits. These are of course those slightly off kilter with everyone else. But how
What lap are we now?
We are, I believe, on lap 47
Okay.
for the leaders. And it definitely looks like Greg is unfortunately repairing some damage, as he's now getting away. Very gingerly indeed. But he's away, he'll rejoin just behind Jason Whitehead. It looks like Greg is getting to know his slightly damaged car, as Adam Hackman is now into the pits. So that elevates Austin Johnson into the lead once again, and he already has a massive lead on Jacob Fredriksson of 6 seconds, so Austin definitely seems to be the fastest driver here tonight, but with the pit stops, you never know.
Yes, and when we did the Indianapolis race, there were no yellows, no pit stops, and therefore you knew that the fastest driver, unless he was having problems, was certainly going to be there for victory, and that's what happened with Austin Johnson. But here it's quite different, because the strategy and the yellows might throw everything off very quickly. You also have to deal with traffic.
And that's not the easiest thing in the world, to put it mildly. Looks like possibly Dave Miller decided to repair damage in the pits, as did Alberto of course, and Greg obviously. Adrian must have repaired a bit of damage.
This is also a bit uncomfortable, because it's quite easy that you come out of the pits because you did repairs. You are not in the position that you should be, and then you have other cars that are on your pace but are maybe a lap ahead, and that means that you are constantly shown by the game blue flags, so you really don't know what to do, because you can try to move for position so that you are unlapping yourself, but then you don't get really away from the other cars. You're shown the blue flag again, so it's not really comfortable at this point.
Indeed. As we can see here, there's a battle between Adam Hackman and David Saber. Looks like Hackman will take position here. Stays very low to leave David a good bit of space around the outside.
Chapman and Raul are also very close to each other. Oh, Raul just pressed the wall.
Well, of course then Alberto Jr. also had an exchange of positions, but here we go, Chapman and Raul. It's very interesting to see the difference in lines. That's probably partly down to the differences in setups.
Yes.
As you say, what kind of difficulty you want to have.
Going closer to the grass is because their setup does understeer a bit more, and they can open the line much more when exiting the corner and give full throttle. Whereas the people that are entering the corner later, that's because they have a bit more of oversteer, and they want a more straight exit. So they kill more speed, they turn the car around, and they point to the exit, and then they can give full throttle. It's fun, because in any case you seem to be getting very similar lap times. In the end, it's a matter of driver preference, but that accounts for some nice bubbles on track, because the cars are quicker in different parts of the turns or of the track. So in the end, that gives you more chances of passing.
Indeed. Here we have another fight brewing. I believe David Junt should be just a tad bit quicker than Ray at the moment, as they are both trying to navigate their way past Dave Miller here. As Dave runs the wide line, and now David has to run. Looking up the inside. Dave trying to keep the speed up around outside. That's very nicely done by all three involved, as David goes by.
In the top, the main battle about to start is between David Jacks and Peter Lavak. Peter is in third position where David Jacks is behind, but I think he's closing. It's hard to tell because I don't have lap times here.
I did notice they were definitely closing in, even if it's only by a very little amount. Relatively speaking, of course. It looks like Lavach has a gear change in the middle of the front straight. I'm not sure if that's what everyone does, but it does seem a little bit awkward.
Well, he probably has found out that he is quicker that way.
Possibly, but from the outside view it seems very awkward.
Well, you really have to set up the cars here so that third is your racing gear and fourth is your economy gear, or the gear that you will be using in the tow. That's what I failed to do. I forgot about it, and because I've been all the weekend out and I forgot to do that for my race setup, and I was getting distracted because I was really going too much into the red zone. I don't think I would have ended the race anyway, because the engine probably wouldn't have lasted enough for that punishment.
It's difficult to know without trying, but Lavach did hit the wall quite hard coming out of Big Bend, turn 3 and 4, so possibly has some damage now.
Pressure from David Jacks.
Indeed. One is running very close to the wall again. As now David is definitely in the slipstream. As the gear change. And here comes Jakes up the inside. And he easily takes the position away for now. Although, as we saw earlier, Lavach and Jakes do tend to fight once they get to the same piece of track. So here comes Lavach with a run. Looking up the inside, and he... That's shades of what happened just a few weeks ago in the real-life race, where two drivers into tunnel bend didn't work. And one haluva crash ended up happening. I'd expect David Yates to pull away now, as he also has a bit of a slipstream from Felipe Enrique to help him down the straight here. Let's have another look through the field, as we have a fairly close fight between Alan Forster, David Junt and Ray Riddle. David still is behind Ray, and here comes Alan Forster up the inside down the straight with a fantastic run out of turn 1.
David Junt was doing a brilliant job, because with that, keeping with that outdated McLaren is certainly something remarkable.
Well, David will always put on a good drive no matter what he's in. And knowing our community here at HSO, he'll be he will have gotten some kind of help with getting it set up the way he'd prefer it. And Salen is now closing in on Ray as well. Possibly looking for a run coming out of here. It looks like he has a decent run. But Ray, of course, with that fairly quick car. Salen has a bit of a twitch behind. It's beautiful to see these cars racing and working their way through the track. As we have, of course, while we have a bit of a lull in the action by the looks of things, we have the Kingfish, which Austin Johnson and Felipe Enrique is driving. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, it's the Coyote 74 for Jakob Fredriksson. Gilmore Racing Team, I believe that is AJ Foyt's number 14 machine.
Yes, it is.
And then number 18 for David James. With a bit of a dent in the side of his car. American Kids Races, I believe that's a Eagle 72.
Yeah, I think so. It's a 73 though.
And then of course you have the McLaren, I believe that's the most modern M16D in the hands of Peter Lavac, who has a massive moment going into the last turn. And I believe that's another Eagle 72 of Chapman. He's actually in fifth at the moment. That's a good
Eagle 74.
Oh, no, a 74. Okay.
Yes. Shot with Firestones. 10 cars I had.
Okay.
The difference between the Firestones and the Goodyears here is that the Firestones they heat up better. They are quicker in the heating, but then they also overheat a bit easier, and they have less grip when the degradation is advancing.
Well, I believe that's a problem Firestone had all throughout the time it was a racing tire.
Yes, that happened back in the 70s for them, and they oh, Dave Miller now spins out.
Oh no!
Probably going to cause a yellow.
Oh, that's some massive damage indeed. That's unfortunately his evening done.
But if he ends in the grass, do we have yellow?
Not sure. Fortunately, Dave is out. I won't be able to get that, but...
If he ended in the grass, then we might not have a yellow, but... No, I think we don't. Because I'm looking at the lights, and they are not flashing. So... they seem not to be flashing.
But... they are unfortunately flashing, so we have a yellow.
Okay. So it's just because I was in a different sector.
Possibly.
I'll be back in a moment.
Yep. So with that, we have the safety car back on track, and the field slowing to a crawl. But let's quickly run through at least the top 10, if not the whole field. We have Austin Johnson in the lead, Jakob Fredriksson in second, third for David Jakes, fourth for Peter Larch, fifth for Mick Chapman in the Eagle 74, sixth for Raul Jereb. I believe he's in one of the Eagles. I believe that's possibly also an Eagle 74. Then we have Ray Riddell in one of the older McLarens. In seventh, sorry. Eighth for Alan Forster in one of the Eagles. Eighth for David Junt. 9th for Adam Hackman. Rounding at the top 10 is David Saber in the Riley 74. One of the more beautiful cars, I think, in the mod in terms of design, but let's see, we have quite a few pit callers here, so let's wait for the pit stops to...
Yeah, I think it came with the right timing. Oh, David Junt has burst, probably missed his pit spot.
Very possibly, as we have David Yates beating the rest out of the pits, Jacob Fredriksson second out of the pits, and Austin Johnson third. Mike Chapman fourth with Rauli Reb fifth, and David Junt, as you said, reversing, but now getting going. We have David Sable. Lavac is staying in the pits for a while, so he's probably repairing some damage after his brush with the wall earlier. Let's see, now gets going. It looks like Jason White is the first car a lap down in his number 5 machine. So we have... Let's see, it looks like quite a few cars now is a lap down behind the safety car, but Ray Riddle is the leader.
Yes, this is the cars that were not in the lead lap. They are pitting now.
And here comes Ray Riddle as well into the pits. So let's let all the pit stops come through here, as I believe Alan Forster is now the leader. Martin Lassina actually seems to be a lap or so down after his very promising early bit in the race. I believe with that.
A spin by Jason Whitehead.
Oh no, that's not good. Oh, as he reverses and I believe maybe made a slight bit of contact with Gerard Rion. But he gets going. That's a bit unfortunate for Jason.
So let's see. It's Austin Johnson is behind Jacob again. Behind David Jacks, Adam Hackman, Alan Forster.
Yep.
Yeah, all of them were with out of sync pit stops, so they are all behind the safety car. Now I think that the rest of the field is now able to... Oh, I don't know what happened to Alberto, but he just hit the wall. Probably he had to...
It seems like they were trying to catch up to the safety car queue, possibly.
Yeah, probably he was approaching too quickly.
Ooh, but he has some damage. Ooh, just about makes it possibly a puncture even, considering how much that's smoking. Hopefully he gets it stopped. Yep, he definitely has a puncture. As he has to reverse, hopefully he doesn't have to reverse too far.
So let's see,
Nope.
because I don't think that we will be much more under yellow, probably in this lap.
Yep, and because of that, let's have a quick look at another upcoming... Actually, let's do the trivia question instead, since we haven't asked that. So, the question for this event is: who won the last USAC sanctioned 500-mile race at Pocono, which occurred in 1981? Was it A. Tom Sneva, B. A.J. Foyt, or C. Billy Vukovic? That's probably one of the more difficult names I've had to pronounce this evening, but...
Mr. Vukovic. I put my money on Tom Sneva because back then in the early 80s he was at his peak performance, so I think the safety car is going out because they are all speeding up. Is it going? Yes, it's going for the pits.
Okay, that's
Going to get green in a moment.
yeah. Let's have a look.
There they go. Good start by Martin Lassina, but let's see if he makes his trip. They are going to be almost three right there.
Ferguson making his way up as well. Oh, this will be a tight one. Oh, Jan understeering, almost hitting two cars there, but all of them seemingly surviving.
on cold tires and with lots of fuel on board. So
it looks like again David Yates has lost out on a restart, so presumably his gearbox ain't set up for restarts. As Alan Forster has held on to the lead for now, ahead of Jacob Ferguson and Austin Johnson.
I think all of them have stopped, right?
Yep, everyone now has stopped. I believe
So
Martin
they are all
Lassina
on
possibly
fresh
didn't.
tires and with a full tank.
Yeah, I believe possibly Martin Lassina haven't stopped, but that's because he was a lap down. He's trying to get back onto the lead lap as Chapman is under a bit of attack from Hackman.
And David Jump is there.
Chapman with a big sideways moment, trying to get out of the slipstream of Jan Kowalski. Ooh, almost a bit of contact through the kink. Ay. Please, fellas, take it a bit easy. Still early on. And David Yates has dropped almost outside the top 10 now, under attack from Peter Lavac.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to pass David Jump, and that's hurting him a lot.
And here comes Alan Forster up in the lead, trying to get up the inside of Martin Lassina. A little bit of side-by-side contact.
So uncomfortably close. But a nice move.
Indeed, and it looks like both.
From Alan Forster. Let's see what happens now in the King, because they all will be suffering aerodynamic effects there.
Okay, Martin drops
Nice
back
pass
that
by
time.
Fredriksson.
Yep, very nicely done by Martin as well to drop back to leave the room. It looks like the top three is streaking away, and then there's a big gaggle of cars fighting over position here from Raoul Rebben forwards.
There's Austin Johnson. It's quietly, they're hanging behind Jakob Fredriksson. He's very clever in traffic. He knows when to stay behind and follow, and when to go or move himself. And Jakob is now obviously trying to put a quicker car between Johnson and himself, because that could give him a bit of relief. But Forster is having none of that.
Ooh, and the 3 wide? Surely not.
Yep. 3 wide in the King, that's certainly not the best. But they get safely.
Ooh, just about. Oh, there's a bit of contact then. Wow.
What a thrilling race.
That's very brave. Even more impressive that Austin, with the worst line out of all of them, got the position. But Alan ain't giving it up, and neither is Jacob by the looks of things. I can't imagine it looked any less scary inside their cars. Let's see, we're on lap 71, so not even halfway, and it's this hectic at the front. As Alan trying to get a good run, it looks like he will have a fantastic run coming through the last turn. See if he can possibly get by Austin here, as both of them head to the inside of the track. Oh, and Alan looking up, just about can't quite get there to look up the inside. As Jacob running a tad bit wide coming through turn 1. But if it's pace alone, it looks like it's between these 3 drivers for the win here tonight. So far anyway. Lewis Allen makes a slight mistake going into Big Bend this time around. Still gets a very good run through. But it definitely looks like Jacob has a bit of trouble with a full tank in the car. And Of course, mentioning the fuel, there is a bit of a rule for this event, as there were for Indianapolis. Where
Yeah, we have a fuel limit.
indeed,
But I
it's,
think that with the yellows that we are having, they should be safe on that regard. Not much of a problem to really make it to the end of the race on 280 gallons. Because yes, that's what these cars will be swallowing in 500 miles.
which is incredible.
An average of 1.8 mile per gallon.
Indeed, and it's incredible that they can gulp that much fuel in one single race. But
Which for the friends in Europe, that should be close to 100 liters per 100 kilometers.
I believe that's about.
Which is not exactly what your average street car is taking when it takes it to the job.
Possibly your average American street car, but
No longer. I mean, it's a bit of a thing that we Europeans tend to think, but I think that already from the 80s there was a big rush in the United States towards fuel economy. Many of the big motor companies there were starting to build alliances with the European and Japanese mates and got some technology for fuel saving and that. And the American public somehow got used to different type of cars, not with such big engines. And well, in any case, it's obviously still I think that uses more oil every year. Almost tied up with China, but I think that the automobile there is no longer the main cause for that. Probably the industry is taking more.
yeah, certainly. It's more the construction of the cars rather than the cars running. If that makes sense. Not everything else that is constructed within the industries, obviously. Apart from one, that was a big run. Apart from if you talk about rotary engine cars, they use up quite a bit of oil. But it's impressive to see that we still only have 2 retirements from this race, which is very nice to see. That almost everyone has been able to keep running.
Not every yellow has resulted in a retirement. I certainly would have bid for repairs, but I think that I couldn't even steer the car to the pit, so...
I believe everyone else will have been thankful that you didn't try, considering these cars are very...
I did my best to end in the grass and avoid the yellow.
of course, but
The game is sensitive. In any case, I think that we are having today certainly a great race.
of course.
Normally we were plagued by many yellows and some people not preparing maybe the race enough or whatever. And, in the end, when you are racing at ovals and you have too many yellows, it becomes too tiresome. A handful of yellows is not bad because you can somehow release the tension a bit and use it for pitting and whatever, but if there are too many yellows, then you really have a problem.
Indeed, but unfortunately it looks like we have a yellow again. Looks like Felipe Enrique possibly is the man to have caused it. He has lost his rear wing, so definitely seems like he would be the driver. I unfortunately can't find out exactly what happened, but he must have hit the wall and caused quite a bit of damage. He's crabbing, which is not a good sign for him. At least we know that now. One should not talk about yellows. Because then we get more.
The admin course, broadcaster's
Indeed.
course.
Indeed. Anyway, that gives us a chance to bring up that it looks like unfortunately Alberto got caught behind the safety car there. That's a lot of bad luck for him. But why?
Right back.
Yeah. As we have a yellow here, let's look at one of the other upcoming events, which is the week after the Can-Am race. We'll have the first round of the New Zealand Touring Car Championship 1985 edition from with the New Zealand Grand Prix, which is let's see if I pronounce it correctly. The Manfield circuit in New Zealand, a very nice little piece of racing circuit where hopefully these cars will shine, and I believe as of this evening there is one free car still available in case anyone of you watching this would like to sign up. I believe it's one of the Alfa Romeo Alfettas, the GTV6s actually. But we'll also see cars like the Holden Commodore VK, Ford Mustang GT, as you can see on the picture, the BMW 635 CSIs, and a few other very nice little cars, the Mitsubishi Starions, and hopefully it'll be a very nice championship which will be broadcasted since all the cars were taken. But with the pit stops going on in the background, Peter Lavach has jumped into the lead of the race. Sorry as I have a bit of a hiccup going on. Where
this is what can happen now in these races, because even if Austin is clearly the quickest driver on track, if yellow happens at the worst possible moment, then something like this can happen. He is no longer in the lead, but instead, even if having pit, he is right now, let me check that, in 7th position.
Yeah, I think he lost 3 or 4 positions. Indeed, I believe in that pit stop he lost 3 or 4 positions. Always there's a bit of a stack up, Parker and Kowalski trying to negotiate the pit lane and the pit boxes. We can see it's nice to see Jason White still in the race, the admin for this event, who put together the looks of the cars, I believe, and he has done a fantastic job on this mod. As of course have you, Alberto, and Richard, who I believe also had a finger in how the cars drive.
Well, thanks. I mean, not being able to drive a set, but watching the cars on track with these great guys at the helm is really, really a nice thing.
Definitely is. Also great to see that everyone more or less has been able to get stuck into some kind of battle during the race, which is one of the main reasons I enjoy racing at HSO. You'll always have someone to battle with, no matter if you're having a fantastic day or a so-so or a bad day. You'll always have someone who's more or less your pace, and you can exchange positions and have a lot of fun while keeping it almost 100% very nice and fair as well.
In all types of racing, because we just revitalized something that we had not been doing for some years because of administration constraints, and we are now again doing Wednesday night races with the favorite Touring Car Legends mod, which is, well, a mod that everybody likes a lot. I think we all have fond memories of one or the other racing in that mod.
Of course.
And well, it's a championship that you organize and are administrating, and I think it's going to be a great success, because right now there is no longer any free car there.
Unfortunately, there is one free car because Jakob Fredriksson just announced before this event that he won't be able to partake in the first 2 rounds due to work. So, as I mentioned when I brought it up, there's one free car for you to sign up with if anyone watching wants to take part.
Yes, and before each event, any car declared where the driver declares his absence is.
Oh dear me, there's a spin in the background, sorry to cut you off. Not sure who that was.
I wonder if we'll produce another yellow.
We were going back to green, so that would have been a gear change slowdown. See, it wasn't Bruno, so who's ahead of Bruno right now? It's Gerard Rion, unfortunately, had a spin.
And at the head of the race, I think that incident in the back gave some strange message to the people, because they were not on full throttle when the rest of the field was coming there, so they got all past. Look at the run that the others had. There goes Austin Johnson, right behind David Jacks.
Looks like it's a big stack up for everyone. I believe maybe some of the drivers in the back was expecting yellow, but the race is green and underway again. Jakob Fredriksson made the most of that restart, gaining a good 3, 4, 5 positions.
Managed to keep the lead.
Indeed. Here comes Austin Johnson and David Yates. David Yates had a bad run through Big Bend. And David Junt actually defends towards the inside going into turn 1.
It's amazing. On 5th position with that McLaren.
Indeed.
I think he's really honoring Mark Martin, who was in real life the driver of this car, and who also managed to get very good results with it.
David Yates with a massive run going into the kink. He actually goes up the inside of David Junt. Over the other sideways. Here comes Austin Johnson with the cutback on both of them. Gets 2 positions.
Yeah, in the end, that what happened was that David Jacks had to brake a lot after that pass so as not to hit the wall. He also hampered David Junt on the way, and Austin Johnson saw very clearly what was going to happen and put the car there where it had to be.
Indeed. Some very close racing here, but it's also close at the front, where Lavac has been caught up by Jakob Fredriksson. Fredriksson looking for a good run through the kink. Looks like he has it. Looking up the inside. But that McLaren has some grunt in the engine department. Surprisingly more.
You're looking at the 2 best cars in the field.
Oh, it is? I didn't realize that's the case.
Best is probably the one that is in 3rd position, Raul Gerard, with the factory Eagle 74.
Yeah, I believe for Indianapolis the Eagle 74s were the cars that was most restricted. As Jakob Fredriksson looks around outside through turn 1. Wow, what a pass!
And he managed to pass on the outside.
What a pass!
So Peter Lavac wins that position back. Whoa, side by side in the kink, nice driving there. And Raul Jereb behind, expecting his opportunity.
But Jakob is really good on that what you call the second line, I believe. As Lavac has a massive moment with a bit of air taken off his rear wing by Raul, and that drops 2 positions because of that. It looks like Austin is able to make his way through the field once again, and now running 3rd, just behind Raul, who's making a fantastic job here tonight. He, of course, was one of those with a really good run in the. I believe he had a good run in the 88s, managing quite good finishes on average. As Austin looks up,
doing a fantastic job in Canada this year.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
He seems to have some real affinity with the 70s.
well, we all have, I suppose, our preferred driving styles and cars we click with. In my case, the 70s aren't quite my cup of tea, unfortunately, in terms of driving, in terms of how you have to drive. Åcerclinth notches the wall again, as now Austin climbs to second. That beautiful Fiat engine as we jump on board with Jakob Ferguson here with Austin behind him. Åcerclinth slices up the inside of Raoul going into Big Bend. Just about pulls that pass off, and David Yates is trying as well. Reb has a big run on Lavach, and looks like he'll pull that pass off. Now Jakes is looking to get stuck in again with this race-long fight with Lavach, getting revitalized once again.
The dreaming of the yellow of Papaya Orange car tonight when he goes to bed.
Yeah, that'll definitely be in his nightmares. As Lavach tries for a bit of a lunge going into Big Bend, whereas Bruno Chacon is down on the inside of the track. That possibly...
Yeah, going for the pits probably. Now he got him. Yeah. Peter was hampered a bit at the turn exit by Raoul.
Yep, who himself was hampered by...
How about that McLaren? Is,
wow!
The top speed it has in the straights is amazing. With the Karin at rear and...
Whoa! That's some really impressive top speed, but a bit of a bubble and...
Yeah, maybe Jax is not the guy you're going to intimidate, I can tell you that.
Definitely not, and he of course is one of the best drivers in the field in terms of setting up his car, and here he comes for a run on the roll, going down towards Big Ben and goes up the inside, and looks like he gets the position done. Running a little bit wide on the exit though. And here comes Raoul, actually gives him, I believe that's actually a bit of a bump. As Raoul backs off going into 1, and that holds up Ray Ridal, who's climbed to 5th. It looks like he could possibly lose that position here, but no, he doesn't. But in the meantime, Austin...
Mick Chapman, what happened to him? I see it did not finish all of a sudden.
Oh dear me, that looks like he could possibly have crashed. Seems like it will have been quite a bit away from the action we had on screen, unfortunately.
Do we have a yellow?
He crashed coming through Big Bend. Yes, it seems like we have a yellow. Unfortunately, but oh no, Greg de la Cella's out as well. That's really unfortunate. He was having a great race early on. I suppose that's part of these 500-mile races. You need to try and keep your concentration for the full length, and that definitely isn't easy.
So let's see, because I don't think that many people will pit now, as they didn't pit so many laps ago.
I wouldn't be too surprised if Alan Forster decides to pit. He did pit during the first yellow.
Yes, some people will, because they are out of sync with the leaders. But I don't think that we will be seeing the leaders pit.
Certainly not.
First 5 cars, probably not.
Well, I was thinking back to I believe it was kart 88 where Alan Forster won the... Oh, it's actually a lot of pit callers here.
Oh.
Wow. So everyone except the top 2 actually heads into the pits. Roli Reb and David Junt have to negotiate one another. That's a very long way for the David Jun's pit guys to have to move the equipment, but hopefully they'll be able to get his car serviced and out on track again, as Adam Hackman looks to be the first one out of the pits.
Yeah, but the leader and Jakob Fredriksson both have remained on track.
Yep. Slavac speeds Forster out to the pits. And that's everyone who's decided to pit for now.
And now will come the second bunch of pit stops from the cars that were not in the leading lap.
Indeed. It'll be interesting to see who of them decide to do so. It looks like Alberto is heading for the pits, staying well below the white line, down the back straight.
Yeah, there we have 4 or 5 cars that are not in the lead lap. Oh, and Steve Parker in the end decided to pit. He made a move in the last moment.
Yep, almost caught out Alberto, but it looks like they are both okay.
So 5 cars in the pit now.
Yep, looks like that's the
Let's
case.
see who comes out of this.
Looks like everyone is changing 4 tires. Steve Parker first out, followed by Jan Kowalski. Alberto Jr. next.
Yeah. Those probably had repairs to do.
Definitely seems so for Whiten and Rion, who's stationed there for a lot longer. Hopefully they'll remain the laps down that they are and not drop any further down.
Now wondering how much fuel does Austin Johnson have, same as Jakob Fredriksson, but this is starting to be a bit of a gamble, because if there is no other yellow in, say, 10 to 15 laps, it would surprise me very much to see Austin Johnson being able to make it to the next. I mean, he will be likely be having to pit on the green, and that will hurt a lot, even if he's very quick. The quickest car in the race and that, but what lap are we now?
95 when we cross the line.
Yeah, well, still a lot of a race to go, but hitting on the green for him would now be really, really bad. Let's see what happens, because I believe we will be going green on next lap.
Yep. And let's actually have a look at the top 10 while we have this lap to go. We have Austin Johnson, of course, in the lead with Fredriksson second. David Saber right behind him in third, with Adam Hackman fourth, a few cars further back. And then we have Rideau in fifth, Yates sixth, Jereb seventh, Junt 8th, Lavach 9th, and Forster running out top 10, and I believe that is the last of our lead lap runners, with Jason White just outside the top 10 in 11th, 1 lap down, unless I'm very much mistaken. Nope, he's 1 lap down in the Pinelli Jones Eagle 74. And then we have Martin Lassina also a lap down. In 12th, Steve Parker 13th, a lap down.
And the safety car is already accelerating for the pits.
Okay, and let's jump back
Jakob
to...
Fredriksson is able to pull a pass on Austin Johnson now.
A bit difficult to tell, to say for sure, but let's see if they time it correctly with the safety car. It looks like they will, and the green flag is out.
Good start by both.
Yep, but that lower wing for...
Oh, and behind there, dicing there. Someone's coming on the inside. Is that
Lassina on White, both of them fighting for position, but a lap down to the leaders. But that lower wing for Austin definitely shows some restarts. But it'll be interesting to see here actually, with a bit of fuel out of the cars, if Jacob has a bit more pace. Was Jacob a bit sideways, as is Austin going through Big Bend? When Austin moving out, so Jacob can't get the doesn't get the same amount of draft. But it definitely looks like turn 1 is Austin's best turn. He pulls about half the car to a car length to Jacob through there.
Yes, Austin likes a very loose setup, and like I said, no matter what you do, your car will understeer on turn 1. So if his car is loose, then probably he's completely neutral at that turn, and that gives him a big advantage. Of course, you have to make up for it later, because you need the finest throttle and balance control when you are in turn 3 to come out of it, but it seems that Austin has exactly that, and this is what is giving him the advantage. I don't think that he is much better in turn 3 than the rest of people, but his oversteering setup is a killer in turn 1. That's probably where he gets most of the advantage.
Indeed, and a bit further back there's a battle for, I believe, 7th and 8th, or something like that, between Jonatan and Vidal. David just got position on Ray, which is very impressive considering the car difference. And it looks like David Yates has, unless I missed him when I was going through the field, but it looks like David possibly lost a position or two at the restart. No, sorry, I just missed him going through the field. Is running 4th, looking to get by Jason here. And Jason actually has told me his wheel broke yesterday, so he had to go to the computer shop today to get a new wheel. He's running the same setup, the same wheels that he had the one that broke, so it's not that big of a difference, but it's still, there's still a little bit of that sort of tension when you get a new wheel. Will it be the exact same even if it's the same make? And we have a bit of side by side here as Yates gets by Saber for 3rd.
David doing also a great job with that Lindsay Hopkins car. They're in 4th position. And he's using the full nose, shovel nose configuration. Even if the real car, I think, uses winglets here at Pocono, but it works better with the shovel nose.
You're probably right. It's also a bit of driver preference, I suppose.
It was back then. I mean, it was McCluskey's insistence to have some more regulation of the front end, what prompted, let's say, Hopkins to put those winglets. But the car wasn't any better with that. So in the end, they ditched it some time later, and they went with the old M16A for Ontario already. So in the next race we will be watching that car. No, actually Ontario was a race earlier, because we have reversed the order here to respect our race, our Indianapolis race in May. But they I don't think they ended the year with that, let's say, with that new car, with the Relay. It was one of the first designs by Bob Relay, a very talented designer who got really lots of success later on in sports car and Trans Am.
Oh no! Oh, Peter Lavac and Holy Reb had a big moment as Lavac is still spinning, and into the barriers he goes.
And he better not move. Now he can. Wonder if there is a lot of damage. Fortunately, not many
He definitely
parts have been seen flying.
Indeed, he definitely has a rear left puncture, so he'll have a struggle.
But Raul will need a new nose.
Indeed, he hit the rear of Peter. Hopefully Peter will be able to get off the grass and into the pit lane. I mean, we'll definitely have a yellow no matter what, so what we need now is for him to make it to the pits without blowing the engine and hopefully get some repairs done and still keep in the race. As he rejoins, hopefully everyone will respect the fact that he has damage now and give him a bit of safety.
Let's see who will be pitting now.
I did sort of expect Austin and Jacob to head for the pits, but Peter thankfully makes it to the pits after a bit of a struggle. And Raul, of course, will probably be waiting until the field is formed up behind the safety car. That was very unfortunate. Let's see if we can possibly catch that on the replay. Sorry for this long reverse.
Is now on Peter Lavak's, and so far he's the only one in the pits.
I believe they haven't quite formed up behind the safety car yet. Oh, it was actually Jason White having a moment coming off the kink which caused Peter Lavak to hit the barrier and fortunately swerve in front of Raul there.
Here comes the field now. Here comes the field now, and there you see the cars coming into the pits. Oh, that's lots of them.
Yep. And that was a very close call for Steve Parker. He almost speared into Peter Lavak when Lavak span up the banking. Luckily for both of them, they survived to fight another day.
Now Lavak has fallen to 17th position. I don't have it in my screen, but I guess that in this case the cars that are on the back of the field don't have many laps down to the leader, because if they have been able to overtake Lavak,
I believe the most laps down was 4 before this yellow, before the last restart. So you can see Junt and Jereb of course will be sitting for quite a while, and it looks like Junt has a bit of damage to be repaired as well. There comes Forster as well. Bit of a late call, so I don't know if he had some kind of issue during this yellow or something, but looks like Austin has stayed out, but Jakob Fryksen has pitted. Unless there were a lot of cars that was passed during the yellow, I'm not sure, but that shouldn't be the case. There comes Martin into the pits. 2 laps down, as does Jason. Steve Parker heads into the pits. Whitehead stays out. And we have one more, which is Felipe Enrique heading for the pits as well. Let's see, has the other guys been able to leave? Yes, they have. So Junt and Jereb thankfully is able to keep on the lead lap despite some repairs being done. And let's see, to answer your question, we have 2 cars 4 laps down, that's Chacon and Enrique. And then we have Lavak, lost 2 laps with that incident. He's now in position, of course, in 17th behind Alberto and Gerard, who's also... Actually, Rio is not quite 2 laps down. That's down to the sector splits, I believe. So Rio is 1 lap down, I believe, with which also is Parker, White, Lasina, Kowalski and Whitehead. So 9 cars now on the lead lap, with the unfortunate demise of Peter Lavak. See, possibly 1 lap more behind the safety car. Yep, there is. Okay. So let's bring up the final upcoming event that we have going on. Of course, the Can-Am and the New Zealand Touring Car Championships will be broadcasted. As of yet, I don't think F171 from Austria, the Grosser Preis von Österreich, will be broadcasted. But I don't know, maybe that will change before the event. But the event will take place on October the 14th, 2000 Paris time, and I believe there will be a couple of one-off cars there, so anyone watching who doesn't have a full-time drive, keep your eyes out a week before, which would be the 7th of October, I believe, when the threads open, possibly a free car available. And let's see, with the safety car still out, we have Austin Johnson in the lead, Ray Riddell second, Ferguson third, Yates fourth, Saber fifth, Hackman sixth, Yunt seventh, Jereb 8th, Horston 9th. And then we have Whited 10th. Okay, my apologies, we have the safety car coming in by the sounds of things with the revs rising. Indeed we have. Let's see if they time it again. Looks like Austin has timed it very well once again for the restart. He definitely learns quickly to get that done. You can see here how he flies away in turn 1, opens up 3, 4, 5 car lengths going through turn 1 compared to Ray. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's because of this, like we mentioned sometime before. Turn 1, having that setup.
Yeah,
but then again, obviously he's the one able to drive that same setup on turn 3 later. So.
Indeed, and we have fighting for position. 3 cars fighting for position, a lap down each between White and Kowalski and Rion. So that's not nice for only the first one to hit them is Jacob, who's now trying to get around Rion. And he manages to do so. Just a beautiful sight with the cars streaming by. As Jacob now gets up the inside of Kowalski, I believe. As does Jakes on Rion, coming out to the kink. And now he actually goes up the inside in the middle of Big Ben on Whited. So Jacob has a big advantage in the car as Jakes also tries...
Oh, a spin there behind. What happened between Bruno Chacon and Alberto? Oh! And that's a big accident there.
Oh, indeed, that's big. Hopefully Alberto just about makes it to hopefully the pit lane. Looks like he has some suspension damage.
Spun. Alberto collected him, and someone coming from behind collected both of them.
Oh no, hopefully, oh no, Alberto's out. Too much damage to the front end of his car. Let's see if we can possibly see what happened here. If we jump on board with him here for the replay, we have Chacon up ahead, had a bit of a moment with Lacina to begin with, and then Chacon on the inside line gets a bit of understeer and then puts just a bit too much throttle on, and both of them spin off into the barriers. And I believe someone else got collected. I believe Alberto got collected by... Let's see who that would have been. Felipe Enrique, I believe, is the one who collected Alberto in the moments after. So that's very, very unfortunate. So it looks like Mick Chapman's out as well. Even that's from one of the earlier yellows. Felipe Enrique is still having his car being repaired. Bruno Chacon is out on track. It doesn't look like he picked up too much damage from that incident. But unfortunately Filippo Enrique with a lot of damage, and Alberto of course out of the race. Really unfortunate. Alberto was having a fantastic race tonight. It's one of those things that can happen on an oval, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, not a lot of time to react when there is a car spinning in front of you.
No, of course, and probably the worst place on track to have that happen as well, because you're so on the limit going through turn 3.
Yeah.
It looks
And
like
also when they spin on the low part of the track, as in the case of Bruno Chacon, it took some time for the car to go up. So when you try to go by the car going high, then you collect him. It's well, anyway, that's racing, especially racing at ovals.
Indeed. And only pit caller, or only pit callers out of the leaders are Austin Johnson and Alan Forster. So it'll be interesting now to see how
I
Austin...
think that Austin was smelling that this was going to happen, and that's why he didn't pit before. Now he's coming out of the pits.
Indeed, but this opens up a big opportunity for Ray Riddell, and even more so for Jakob Fredriksson, who should be able to open up a bit of a gap to the rest of the field on this restart.
So, let me see, because I now have telemetry back because I'm using the new server, the Automobilista server, the one from Live Racers. So I have telemetry back. Let me check, because I'd like to know if this gives me statistics of the fuel in the car. No, it doesn't seem so. It's a pity, because I'd really like to know how much fuel does Jakob have right now.
I don't think it does fuel, but it does do tire wear. And it looks like Jason Whitehead heads for the pits. And Peter Lavac as well is into the pits. Stops just behind Jason there. As Jason heads out, so that's a very quick splash and dash for Jason, just as top up as it was for Peter Lavac as well. So let's see, we have Ray and Jakob, then we have a lapped car in the form of Jan Kowalski, then we have David and another lapped car in the form of Gerard Rion. We have David Junt, David Saber, Adam Hackman, Raul Jereb, all in a line. And then I believe it'll be Austin Johnson, possibly. Yep, it is, with Alan Forster behind, so it'll certainly be a lot of work for Austin to make his way back up the field now. No matter how quick his car is. So this should definitely be a good opportunity for Jakob and the rest of the field.
Going through traffic is always, of course, dicing it. It can happen to you as just happened to Little Al, that the car in front of you spins, you collect it, and there's nothing else you can do. So we'll see how this works out.
Indeed, and it's a very...
But the thing is that nobody seems to be able to challenge Austin Johnson on raw speed, so it's a bit frustrating probably for the rest of drivers to know that unless something strange happens, it will be Austin overtaking them.
Indeed, and he of course leads the Gold Star points as well at the moment. Since we are on yellow, we can have a quick Never mind, I hear the revs rising, so the restart is on the way here. We head through Big Bend, heading towards the green flag. Let's see if Ray can time the start. Ooh, not quite as well as...
a good start by Fredriksson.
Oh, hopefully
Ray
no penalty.
was caught completely by surprise because he went a bit too quick into the main straight, and the safety car still in the pits. He was about to overtake it, so he had to back it off.
Indeed, that's... Oh, as Jan Kowalski hits the wall. Jan Kowalski has some damage. Jan Kowalski has damage.
Wait. That car has damage. Yes, it can't go in a straight line. It can't go in a straight line.
Oi, oi, oi. Yep. Oh dear me, he's spinning. He's spinning down the field, down in the kink. Did everyone survive? Wow, everyone managed to avoid him. Oh,
Well, it's fortunate because
that'll need a...
we'll get another yellow. Yes.
Yes, but at least everyone survived, apart from Jan, who unfortunately has retired. But at least everyone survived that scare, and a lot of, I believe, quite a few new racing overalls will be needed here. Because that was going on all the way down the straight before the kink. So let's actually have a ride on board with Austin here and see what it looked like from his point of view. Because I believe we will be able to see a lot of stacking up going on in front, going into the kink indeed. And then a lot of smoke around outside. You can see Jan spinning, and nice, slowing down nice and early for the kink, just in anticipation of that. And, so did many others, which is nice to see.
So Jacob will not pit. Of course, everybody did pit very recently, so it's unlikely. There goes someone. That's Alan Forster. Yeah, probably he wants to be out of sync. He knows that the field is now thinner. Yellows are probably less likely. And if he is out of sync, even 2-3 laps of extra fuel could be the deciding factor later.
Indeed, and
He
remember...
was not very up in the field, so there's not a lot for him to lose.
Certainly, and remember as well that at Phoenix in the opening round of Kart 88, he actually won using this off-kilter strategy by pitting during almost every yellow in that event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always top it off, and if you are forced to pit on the green, then everybody else is also, because you are always with a full tank. But it's again a risky thing because you are running with much more weight than all the other cars.
Quite so, but it would seem that him and that car works very well with fuel in it. He was able to keep up with Austin for quite a few laps during, I believe it's 2 yellows ago now, during that restart.
Oh, there was someone else goes there, Bruno Chacon and Jason Whited. Both go to the pits, but the rest is out.
Let's see, it looks like it's 4 tires and fuel for Jason. Looks like it's the same for Bruno. Jason beats Bruno out by just a little bit. Looks like it'll be one more lap behind the safety car.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be accelerating. Oh yeah, that's one more.
Although the field was seemingly anticipating a restart that time by. As we're on lap 118, so about 80
and David
laps.
Saber has decided to pit now. And also Peter Lavak.
Well, Peter Lovac is two laps down, so he probably wants to be topped up in case he can gain a lap.
A bit problematic now because the safety car will be starting to speed up very soon, I guess.
Probably, yeah. So David Saber seems to be putting in a full tank of fuel as well as 4 new tires. So it'll be very tight for him to even stay on the lead lap if the safety car comes in this time round, I believe.
David is still in the pits because he had repairs.
Oh
But
dear.
Peter Lavak has already joined the queue. Yeah, it's at this point it's an out of sync strategy, the only thing that can get you to a better position. And now we're going. Safety car speeding up.
Yeah, it looks like David will drop off the lead lap here. We still haven't left. Revving the engine, and here he comes as the field comes around the final turn to start the race.
The safety car, David Jacks, I think got a better start.
Yeah, definitely seems like it.
Austin is taking it calmly. Got boxed behind the other cars.
Indeed, finally, David had a good start, and it looks like David is wanting to draft buddy with Jacob here to pull away, which I can understand because he definitely doesn't want Austin to catch up, so I believe Austin is making a move further down the field.
He's right now behind Hackman.
Oh, we have a spinner in the back.
Oh no.
And it looks like he got someone got caught out by Gerard Riot. Oh, Steve.
I guess we'll get another yellow. Well, drivers are getting tired now, so errors are happening too often now.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can catch what happened here. As Gerard Riot had a run on Blasina, checked up, and fortunately Steve didn't anticipate that big of a check-up and had a spin. That's a very easy mistake to make, and he makes some decent contact with the wall, unfortunately. That's not good for the leaders of the pack, as Austin gained a few positions that restart, and now only have cars on the lead lap ahead of him.
Fredriksson still the leader, but Austin Johnson is now, well, not close to him, but has moved some positions up. Sixth position for him now.
See no pit callers by the looks of things this time around. Yes, we have one Alan Forster in for a splash and dash. He's definitely playing the strategy game now. As is David Saber, of course, who...
strategy.
Yep, and David Saber into the pits as well to possibly repair some more damage.
It's his strategy and he's sticking to it.
Indeed. Actually, it looks like... Yeah, David stayed on the lead lap, of course, so... He'll probably try for another bit of repairs here if there's still a bit of trouble with the car. At least he's going for new tires. So of course if he's making repairs, that's the correct way to go about it. Let's see, 79, 78 laps to go at the line. So that would be, what, 2 stops left in the race?
Yeah, something like that.
If it goes green.
They should be able to do it on 2 stops, yes. Well, actually, no. Depending on how much fuel they have on board now, I think that with 1 more stop, they could do it. Because they are able to do something like 30 something. Well, yeah, it might be tight. We'll see. We'll see.
If they have another yellow, then possibly, right? That's the, well, another yellow, and it's definitely possibly in 1 stop to the end. And with this being a 500 miles, whoever wins this event could possibly clinch the Gold Star Championship as well, because the 500 milers awards the most amount of points. Because it's going, I believe it goes by how long the races are. In terms of time, and looking at this, it'll be we're up at just about 3.5 hours now, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Well, we started a bit late because we were waiting for some people to join.
Of course. So I'd say probably 3 hours and 10 minutes, something like that.
Now 3 hours into the race. But yeah, that's with 80 laps to go. This is getting obviously longer than the real race.
That's partly down to the safety car staying out a lap or 2 longer than it would probably need here.
Maybe.
Then again, that could be me being picky.
It's also a very long track. I mean, an extra lap with a pace car here is obviously not the same thing as in Milwaukee.
Well, of course. And Peter Lavac made a pit stop as well during this yellow to tap up once again. Let's see, hopefully it'll be
I think that the safety car is speeding up.
Yep, definitely this sounds like it. Let's see, coming through the final turn onto the start finish straight towards the green flag. And there goes Jacob, and he has a fantastic restart this time around compared to... Yeah, it looks like David Yates holds on to second for now, and here comes Austin up the inside.
Already gaining some positions.
Yep, Adam moves out of the way very sportingly there. Oh, and Austin looking for a move. David Junt covers the inside. Very aggressive racing now. As Austin has the wide line, Junt goes up wide. I believe Austin could possibly get a cutback here. Actually not, he is stuck behind David for now. Ooh, as Jacob has a big moment up front, almost hits the wall. And here comes David on Ray. And Austin as well, 3 wide. Ooh, dearie me. That's very aggressive, but very nicely done by Austin right there, gaining 2 positions. But obviously not what David and Jacob will want to be seeing.
And unless I'm mistaken, Raúl Jerez has one of the flaps of the front winglets completely bent.
Ooh, that's not good for him.
Like, well, let's see if we can have a long clear run now.
That's probably as a leftover from the incident he had with Peter Lavac earlier. Oh yeah, that's really bad. Let's see here. I believe David may have hit the wall coming out of 1. But he still closes in on Jacob. Of course, Austin gets ever closer as well. And Jacob running the second or even third line, who actually scrapes the wall coming onto the start-finish straight. And a lot of movement from all 3 cars coming out of 1 that time around. Oh, and now David wants to get a move on. Goes up the inside of Jacob into the King. That's not a good idea. They both lose a lot of pace. And that means Austin closes in. This could be another double pass for Austin if he gets a good run here. I'd say it's probably a little bit too... For David it's probably a bit frustrating, because when you're in the tow you think that you are quicker than you really are. I mean, it might very well happen that he goes by Jacob and then he isn't able to put distance between. This seems to be the case here. Indeed. When the dirt, yeah, really screwing with the drivers here. Really close call for all 3 by the looks of things.
Yeah, but the Coyote is less affected by that. The shovel nose has an advantage compared with the winglets.
Indeed, but with that he's taking more air of David Yates, so Yates is having more of a handful. And he probably would want.
See, in this turn, Austin isn't much quicker, but in turn 1 now, if he gets the run now, he can go very deep into turn 1 and go for the pass.
Which Jacob has to run instead.
He's waiting. He's obviously waiting to see what happens between these both.
And both of them slow here. Austin will have to run.
And look what a great run he gets when coming out of this turn. Where he gets David next.
Actually not. David has to draft from Jacob and gets a fantastic drive down the straight, but stays behind. Very smart. I don't think that would have been a good situation for him if he had tried to go for the move. Austin very
we have so many yellows because otherwise the action is really great. It's very enjoyable.
Very much so.
Let's see what happens now.
Well, I believe Austin will have to run this time. David doesn't quite have the draft from Jacob.
So hard to beat him in this turn.
Bit of a wiggle, but well in control of the car. And now he has to run on Jacob. Jacob goes to the inside just slightly to cover him off.
If you see all the passes by Austin, at least with the quickest cars, when he's dicing with the quickest cars, all the passes are made in turn 1 mostly. Because here, for example, is what we were talking about before, the exit of this turn isn't so good for him. It's just like the other cars, but now he has very low wing and he gets the draft and he can dive quicker than anybody in this turn.
Oh, he goes. Oh, David up the inside. Oh, that was a close call.
He can hold it there because of the setup. While the rest is under steering, Austin is able to keep it.
Indeed. And I thought David would make 3 wide on the entry then. He definitely had a big old think about it. Jacob needs to get Austin either here or down the front straight, otherwise Austin will pull away again, I believe.
No, in this turn, if you look at it, see, Jacob is... they are more or less with the same speed, but on the straight probably Jacob can keep up, even if Austin Johnson has less wing. But it's now in turn 1 where Austin is so mature, thanks to his setup. There, from here on.
Actually, Jacob had a very good run through that. But he probably would need to follow Austin down the track to keep the draft going.
Yeah. The problem is that even if you get the draft is not lost that easily, but the problem is that Austin has so little wing in his setup that once he gets going, it's even if you're in the draft, it's hard to stay with him.
That was interesting. While
now they're coming to it. He basically kept that extra car length that he won on the previous lap, and now he will be putting 1 extra car length again.
Indeed, and
he shakes them off.
Yep. And something I noted with Jacob then, when he was in a clean air behind on the inside of Austin down Big Bend, he was actually understeering, but as soon as he got into the dirty air, he actually seemed like he got more grip from the front end, so that's at least what it looked like. And now he's sideways and understeering, sliding it sprint car style all the way through Big Bend, and lost quite a bit of time to Austin because of that. Let's see, David Junt is actually running 4th at the moment. That's absolutely amazing with that car. Hackman's still
really brilliant.
And Hackman's still running inside the top 5, which is nice to see. He definitely has come on from his early days in the 73 series, where he was learning the ropes here at HSO. Looks like Sabre and oh sorry, that's a bit of a couple of cars between them, so not a fight coming on. But Alan Forster seems to be running quite slow compared to what he was doing earlier, so I don't know if he's had a moment or what has happened here. But
he has the full tank when compared to the other cars, because he has been pitting all the time.
Well, of course, and he actually nudges the wall just a tiny bit there. I wouldn't quite expect it to be that big of a difference, but now Austin has pulled away, and
now David Jacks is trying to hold on to Jacob.
Yep. Of course, I'd say out of these 3 cars, probably David's car is technically the slowest, isn't it?
David's car? I mean, David Jack's car.
72?
Yes, it's from the 3 is the slowest, is the 72. But well, it's on par with Austin Johnson's car, more or less.
Oh, and we have a yellow.
Oh dear me, what's now?
Oh, that looks like some car parts, so it probably have been quite a big crash. Looks like Gerard Réau is heading for the pits with no engine.
Blown engine.
Oh, and here comes Felipe Enrique as well with a lot of damage to his car. And unfortunately Gerard Réau is out.
He quit and it says suspension.
It's looked like he didn't have an engine either, so We'll try to catch what has transpired. I believe Felipe Enrique would probably have been the instigating driver to this yellow. See, he was in a fight with Bruno Chacon. Going towards... I'm not entirely sure. Okay, span in the last turn, but I can't tell exactly why. But Rayon retired with no engine, and in the game it says suspension, so I'm not sure which would be the main cause. But either way, we have some repairs being done. Of course, another yellow. I'll see, in terms of heading for the pits, it's Johnson, Fruits and Jakes. Looks like all the lead cars pretty much. David Saber stays out. This will be interesting to see who of these guys...
Well, everybody knows how much they can do on a single tank. And everybody, what they will be doing basically is pit when they know that that they can go till the end. Because that's the exact moment when you have to pit. At that point, you no longer have to enter, and the only thing that you can do is gain positions if the other people are suddenly in need of pitting. Oh, David Jacks. Jacob Fredriksson wasn't able to squeeze by, but David Jacks did.
That's a bit dangerous.
Yeah, fortunately it's a wide pit lane, but still.
Good thing they are pitting ahead of the number tower there.
So there's 62 laps to go. 61 actually.
So that'll be
and
one.
Full tank in these cars was...
I believe you said 30 something laps.
Yeah, I believe 30 something.
So that would be one more stop if it's green all the way. Here comes those laps down. Chacon stays out, but we have Jason Whitehead and Jason White heading for the pits. I believe there will be a couple more. Here comes Steve Parker.
More like 20 something laps, 23 laps say. 22, 23 laps.
Oh, that's cutting it fine in that case, unless they are expecting more yellows.
Because if they get 1.8 miles per gallon, which is what they basically need, that means 20 something laps and 40 gallons. It's almost 2 gallons per lap. So it's at lap 175, let's say, when you would be willing to pit and then never look back again. 125, 175, 177, something like that.
Yep. That's definitely cutting it fine. Let's see, in terms of positions, while you continue doing the calculations by yourself, I think we have David Saber in the lead now, choosing to stay out. David Yates second, Austin Johnson third, Jacob Fredriksson fourth, with David Young fifth, Adam Hackman sixth, Raoul Jereb seventh, with Ray Riddell eighth, Alan Forster ninth, and then first car on one lap behind is Jason Whitehead in 10th, Jason White 11th with Steve Parker 12th. Martin Larsina coming out of the pits in 13th. 14th for Peter Lavac, so he's gained a few positions since his unfortunate off earlier on in the race. 15th, I believe, for Bruno Chacon. 16th and out, unfortunately, is Adrian. So Philippe Enrique with a lot of damage to his car. Amazing that it's still running in this race, considering all the repairs he's unfortunately been forced to make to the car. But good on him for being able to.
The car is speeding up, I believe.
Okay.
So we'll have a start.
And let's head towards the front of the field. We're riding on board with the Riley 74 of David Saber. As he's trying to get a good start going. It looks like he's timed it. It would seem like he timed it very well. He has a gap to David Yates now. When Fredriksson looking up the inside of Austin into turn 1. A bit of understeer for Jacob though. This could be Austin getting the cutback. He has to overlap by the looks of things.
Yeah, on cold tires. So Austin was expecting that, obviously.
Ooh, but a bit of more of a slowdown by the little things than Jacob was expecting though. Looked like they both had a bit of a wiggle going through the kink.
Right Riddle being overtaken by Alan Foster.
And here comes Yates as well for the lead. Going past David. As we have someone coming out of the pits as well on the very inside line. That's Bruno Chacon.
Bruno Chacon, yes, coming out.
Oh, and that held up both of the lead cars. And here comes Austin Johnson with a wicked run. Heading by David Saber up into second.
The only way that David Jacks would be able to resist the attacks from Austin Johnson would be to take turn 1 with a line that goes very much close to the apex and deny by that Austin Johnson the ability to pass him.
Indeed, but
he must break him so that they have both a similar corner exit. You see there, Austin Johnson is able to go deeper, and now he opens the steering wheel earlier and gets a bit of a run out. You see, he's approaching now. But the only way that you can do that is to kill enough speed in the apex so that Austin also has to slow down.
Sort of the parking the bus.
Yeah, a bit like that, yeah.
Idea, but of
so
course
you
going
have to time it very carefully lap after lap, because otherwise you're dead meat.
Indeed. It's a bit in normal circuit racing you do it at maybe between 40 and 60 miles per hour. Here you're doing it at 180, 200 miles per hour.
Things here bad for David because he goes to the inside in an effort to protect. But look, that's exactly what he has to do. Be there in the inside, have a slower turn speed, and now come out. And even if Austin is coming out quick here, David can still defend it here in the kink. You see?
Indeed. Austin looks to get a good run here, so David needs to be careful. As here comes Austin up the inside.
But this turn is good for David Jacks. They are more on pair here. Here in the straight, maybe. If he doesn't lose the toe, but... Oh, look, he made him breeze the wall.
Wow. That could make a big difference.
Now Austin lost the run, and David Jackson now is going there, but now stay in the inside there. Now you can't release the car because Austin blocked it very, very masterfully there.
Indeed, really nicely driven.
Very good over racer. Bit more speed in the apex would have been needed by David. But let's see if that slight breeze on the wall has an effect on Austin Johnson's car, because when you got a setup like this, it's so much on the limit, any small amount of damage can really have an effect there.
That's what I was going to say, or point out as well. Whether it will affect him, and for now it doesn't look like it will, but you never know. You can see everyone screaming by Jacobs. David, Adam, I believe. Yeah, I can't say the names that quickly. It looks like there's a slight battle here between Adam and David for 4th and 5th. David Saber, unfortunately, having dropped behind them. And
yeah, not much that we can do with that.
Right, so I believe he still carries a bit of damage, so it's understandable that he was probably taking it just a little bit easier. We can see Reb and Ridal also fighting for 8th and 9th, and then we have a fight for 10th and 11th between White and Lassina, with Parker and White also having a bit of a fight here for 11th and 12th, so 12th and 13th. And White so far holding on to the position. It's nice to see Jason get into a bit of a fight. Let's see, it would seem like Austin is pulling away ever so slightly every lap, so unfortunately it looks like that's a position done and dusted, and Adam Hackman has gotten by David Junt as well. So that's a swift swap between 4th and 5th. And Saber now under attack by Alan Forster. And Saber really loose coming through tunnel turn. Looks like David Saber is doing what David Yates needed to do earlier with going for the apex, but here comes Alan with a massive run down the front straight. Oh, but runs very deep into turn 1.
Yeah. But he's able to get away with it.
Looks like Vidal was able to get by Reb as well, and here comes Lassina to unlap himself. Looks like White and White will soon have a fight. That'll be difficult to differentiate. Ooh, as Peter Lavach has a spin down the front straight. Oh, what a save! He may have even avoided a safety car. Let's watch that again, shall we? Just had a slow torque spin, but quickly gathers it back up and does a 180.
No yellow,
no? I think we avoided it.
Yeah, because I'm seeing the green lights here in the inventory.
Yeah, it looks like we avoided it. That's a magnificent save by Peter right there. And it looks like we're all racing, so no yellow flag, and now the fight is on between Jason and Jason. Jason White looks like he has a bit of a run. He doesn't quite dare to go up the inside, as White has a bit of a Bit of a slide going in there. Oh, but Jason is really quick into the turns.
The rear now starts moving when you get the car too close behind.
Of course, and we know from previous races that Jason White likes his cars very, very loose, so anytime he has a car behind him, he'll have a massive handful. It sounds like he's being put a lap down again by Raul Jereb, possibly. Ooh, yes, he has a bit of a moment coming off turn 1, but holds on to her. And now looking to try and catch back up to Jason Whitehead, as he has a good run into tunnel turn, but touched the grass just a little bit. Looks like that's the fight we have on track at the moment, so...
Adam Hackman with David Jant. Because David is there, it's amazing with that McLaren, old McLaren, and he's there putting pressure on a car that is so much better than his.
Indeed. Ooh, bit of a moment coming off turn 2, but held on to very nicely there. Really having to work the car through 3. Actually changing down the gear in the middle of that turn. That's very brave.
Probably the only way he has to squeeze the most out of this old car.
Definitely possible. He has a beautiful line coming through turn 2. That's absolutely wonderful to watch.
Yeah, there's he is able to stay with the rest, doing the difficult parts of the track better than anyone.
And a really nice run through the last turn as well. He actually catches up to Adam now, as we have a pit caller. Couldn't quite see who that was. Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we should probably be seeing people start pitting quite soon. Lap 156.
So about
44 to go.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, almost. If you pit now, and there is no more any green, any yellow, then you should do one more pit stop, I believe.
Yeah. Well, David really having to work the car through 3, but he's doing it beautifully, really catching up to Adam through there. Just fantastic to see David work. A bit of understeer there though, but still gets a decent amount of speed. And with him driving an older car, I'd expect him to have more trouble in dirty air, so that's probably why he can't really get much closer to Adam than what he is right now. We can hear that there's no braking being done by David. He's just on the throttle, then lifts off to get the car into the turn and then on the throttle again.
Yeah, probably he has more wing in his setup. Yeah, his top speed is a bit slower than that of the other cars. So yeah, he definitely is going for higher wing setup to be able to stay in traffic with the old car. His top speed is 326 kilometers per hour, whereas in the case of Austin Johnson is 336 and David Jack's 341. So you see the difference there, quite some difference.
Yep. And again, just watching him through tunnel turn is absolute magic. And now he actually could have a bit of a run on Adam. He's closer than he's been before, I believe. See if he can get a good run through here and possibly challenge Adam. And out. Oh, just a dirty air really hurting him, but he got a good run. He's now really close. Relatively speaking, obviously. If he can just get a good run through here, he can definitely challenge Adam next. Well, Adam did a good job, so.
That's really close to the wall.
Yep.
Amazing job. Precision driving by David John.
Fantastic by both of them, to be fair.
Whoa.
Well, that's a bit of a brown trouser moment. Just having a look a bit further behind, we have Jason White and Park is still in the group fighting as well. Always Parker has a massive moment coming off the last turn. Looks like it's pretty much the same situation here as it is for David up ahead, that Jason can keep up with Whited, but it's very difficult to stay close behind, and the same goes for Saber. Although in Saber's case it's...
This, I've never seen someone go so close to the wall regularly as he does, without hitting. That's precision driving for you all.
Well, someone has to show how that's done as well, not just Austin. Of course, several others are showing some really nice consistent driving at the moment. With a long green run, but as you say, David is probably the most consistent in terms of running it really close to the wall and using every inch of the track. As you can see here, the car is really nicely balanced going through the last turn for him.
If he had the better McLaren, I'm guessing he would be up there fighting it out with Austin Johnson.
Definitely a possibility.
Well, not that Peter Lavak is exactly a slow driver. He's actually very quick.
Of course, and he was up there fighting for the top 5 positions before his unfortunate incident. But I mean, that turn 2 for David is just absolutely incredible. How he's able to do it that consistently is beyond me. And then of course working the car very nicely through 3, and Adam just as nicely doing his bit to keep ahead. Let's try looking a bit further behind, see if the battle is still on for... Oh, actually, it looks like White has now gotten whited, so Jason White has climbed up, I believe, into the top 10 with that. No, sorry, it's 11th, so that's Martin Lacina who's pulled away from this group. But still, that's a very nice finishing position if they're able to stay where they are now. Looks like unfortunately Felipe Enrique has finally decided to call it a night as well.
It's always sad to get up to here and then have to quit.
Indeed. It's one of those situations, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get a good camera angle going. Should be coming up here with Austin heading to the fast pace camera here. It looks like he has about a 5 to 6 second lead on David Yates. And we have Jakob Fredriksson another 2-3 seconds behind. There's Hackman and Junt really close to one another now. And Saber and Forster not that far behind either. Sorry, go ahead. I want to slow down. We unfortunately have a yellow.
Well, this is what everybody would be. Oh, Steve Parker. How is it possible they're in the middle of the straight? What happened to him?
I believe it's the last turn where that will have started. Yep,
so
he
well,
hit.
now this solves us the question of the strategy.
Indeed.
Because everybody will be pitting now and they should be able to go from now to the finish of the race.
Yep. In terms of Steve, he had a big loose moment coming through the last turn and slapped the outside wall. And
it's lap 166, so that's still 34 to go. I don't think anybody can do it now. Let's see, because this might be interesting. They are going for a full tank and maybe a splash and dash.
Yep. Considering what it's looked like previously, I wouldn't put it past Jakob Fredriksson to get first out of the pits, followed by Jakes and possibly Hackman actually. Because somehow it seems like Austin usually loses out during the pit stops. And unfortunately Steve Parker was forced to retire with the massive damage he had sustained. And into the pits we go. It looks like Jakes is the first to stop. Hackman has to be very... Oh, actually, Jakes missed his pit stall. That's not good for him. So Fredriksson will have been the first to stop. And here he goes, only right side tires and fuel for him. By the looks of things. You see, there goes Austin.
Gets the lead.
And Raul heads out, actually ahead of... Oh, sorry, Alan Forster heads out ahead of Jakes, I believe. But Fredriksson, the first one out of the pits yet again.
Yeah, but if he has only 2 tires, that won't help him going quicker than Austin, and that's exactly what he needs now. So let's see. But they will have to go again to the pits, and then it will be for a very small load of fuel. But I don't think that Jacob's tires would be able to go for this stint and then again for the next one.
Ooh, him and Bruno getting very close there. Looks like Bruno was wanting to let people by, possibly.
Yeah, probably getting a bit confusing messages as the game is sorting out the order. Because as you see, the people on the not on the lead lap are going into the pits now. Now Jakob gets the get-go to the safety car and now he's able to speed up.
Yep. So Lucina first out. Let's see if next is David Saber. Looks like possibly Jason White actually stayed out on track here. No, sorry, he stopped up the front of the pit lane. My apologies, but it looks like he'll beat Jason White out of the pits. Yep, he does. Now Bruno Chacon leaves the pits, and looks like Lavach has a bit more repairs to be done to his car, as he is still in his pit box. see, considering it'll probably be the final bit of the race coming up, if we go green, let's actually look back at the trivia question and look at the answer for that. Where of course the trivia question was, who won the last USAC sanctioned 500-mile race at Pocono in 1981? Apologies if anyone saw what the answer was, I clicked the wrong one for a moment. But it's the options is A. Tom Sneva, B. AJ Foyt, or C. Billy Vukovic. And of course you said Tom Sneva earlier, Alberto. Would you like to stay with that, or do you have any other changed opinion?
I don't think I have any better option.
Well, the answer is AJ Foyt actually won the final race in 81, a rain-shortened race that lasted 122 laps. And I too had it wrong. I also thought it was Tom Sneva when I first read
Tom Sneva was on those years, so
yeah.
it was a safe bet. With AJ Foyt, you never know.
Very much so.
So, speeding up.
Yep, very well timed.
So. This will be interesting now, this stint.
See about the timing as well. Here goes Jacob.
Good start for Jacob.
We'll see if David could possibly have a run here. He's actually running third right now. And here, of course, won the most recent 500-mile race we had. Sorry, not the most recent, but the second most recent 500-mile race. So he has some experience as well in these races. But Austin looks around outside, going into tunnel to curb. Thinks better of it, looks for the run off the turn instead, and he has a decent run, but stays behind. Let's see if Jacob can do anything to stay ahead. Austin gets a good run through the last turn by the look of things. Just a little bit loose still. It looks like David Yates is looking for a way past David Jonatan with the background as well. Not able to do it there, and we'll see what happens coming out of here. Jacob having a bit of understeer, but so does Austin in the dirty air.
Yeah, it's also because of the full time.
Of course.
On cold tires with full time.
Right, so Owen. Unfortunately, both David and David had moments through the kink there. Both of them nudged the wall. Hopefully no major damage for either of them. But David looking for the run off turn 3 here to try and challenge Austin for second. David unfortunately dropped back a little bit. And Austin with a run down the front straight to close in. Oh, but Jacob has a very nice run off the turn this time. We actually notched the wall then, I think. Jacob, that is. Having to take the defensive line into 3, so this could open up for Austin down the front straight. And side by side in background between Alan Forster and possibly David Saber. Actually no, Austin stays behind. Possibly looking for the run here then.
Nice driving by Jacob. Managing to keep for the moment Austin behind.
Could there possibly be some damage to Austin then, considering he's lacking pace in behind the car now?
Maybe also that the setup shines when he has less fuel. But yeah, the damage could play a role. If he has damaged the car enough to just lose that 1 or 2 tenths that were giving him the edge, then this could be really dangerous for him. Like I said, it's a setup that is very, very much on the edge. So unless it's working perfectly, no, this time it doesn't seem to be able to go through turn 1 as quickly as he used to do. I mean, he catches up with Jacob on the straight, but he doesn't have enough impulse to overtake.
Indeed, and currently David Junt is holding on to third in that McLaren. It's amazing drive by him, and actually Jacob pulled away this time.
Not actually very much far behind, which seems to indicate that the pace from Austin and Jacob is not as quick as it was before, especially in the case of Austin, of course.
Indeed, and
I'm really watching him through turn 1, and no, he's no longer gaining that 1 car length that we had seen him do in the laps before when we were watching. He has the good aerodynamics, he has low wing, and that's why he is getting closer now.
Jacob running just a tad bit wide here. I don't think the straight is long enough for Austin to go for a move though.
No, but Jacob has to be very careful here on this exit, because this, as I explained it, this is the place where he can hold Austin or even be quicker. Now comes the straight, and now comes turn 1, but Austin doesn't seem to have the edge here at turn 1 that he used to have.
David Yates made his way past Avjun, so he could be catching up as well here. That could open up even more of an...
Look at that, so Jacob was able to stay here.
It's very impressive to see Jacob at the moment. It's some fantastic driving from all the top 5-6 drivers here to stay within just a few seconds of one another. Especially by Jacob to stay ahead of Austin. Oh, Jacob a little bit wide here, possibly a bad run.
Yeah, but he got some speed in the middle of the turn, and that's the slight advantage that he has got, and it's enough in this case.
You need to hold on here as well.
The edge that he had in turn 1, then even if he's quicker in the straight, you don't need much more now to keep him behind. Because yeah, he catches up, but he doesn't have enough momentum to overtake. And that suffers.
That said, that was a bit naughty on the defensive side by Jacob that time around, but you can partly understand why he does it, because he's really under pressure here. Looks like Austin has finally got his pace back. He's really going quick now. Here he comes. Let's see if he dives up the inside. No, he doesn't. It looks...
No, he's willing to put the nose inside and then get a better exit, like this.
Yep.
Inside into there, and now taking the run before turn 2. That's what he was trying to do.
Really good job by Jacob, but Austin finally outsmarts him.
Not over yet.
Oh, actually not. He's right behind him now. He could have a run going into...
Not over yet, because in this turn, Jacob is actually quicker.
That was close on the entry. Jacob with a run up the inside here. This could be him taking a position again. Austin really quick in a straight line though.
Yeah, the problem is that on the straight Austin is quicker.
But he's looking up the inside. Oh, not quite able to make it. Oh, and a big moment as well in the dirty air.
David Jacks is meanwhile behind both of them, by the way.
Yep.
and catching up quickly.
He was able to catch up with that a bit extra with that battling going on, that change of position. Look at that, Jacob really loose in the dirty air. Now he's following the slipstream.
Yeah, but Austin is very much aware that the car is a bit damaged and doesn't have the same edge it had before. And that's why he's starting to break the toe in the straight. And now coming out of this turn, he doesn't have the advantage that he had before. His main advantage right now is the very high top speed because of the low wing. But now remember that they both have to pit.
Oh no! Oh dearie me, that's really unfortunate. Poor Jacob.
And he has to slow down so much now. Maybe a yellow will be triggered. Not yet.
As Jacob heads for the pits.
Good thing that he was able to manage it into the pits, but the recurse will be killing his options.
Indeed. And it's no safety car either.
Yeah. No. Green flag all around.
So
that was intense.
It was indeed. That was really unfortunate. He just got a bit too loose and the car got away from him. But it was a really good fight from Jacob there to give Austin a real run for his money.
Mm.
But unfortunately, I believe that's the biggest fight for Austin tonight. And now he'd probably pull away unless there's another yellow to slow him down. My apologies, I forgot to change the graphics. There we go. We have a fight going for third as well, while all this has been going on between Alan Forster and David Junt. And Hackman not that far behind either.
No.
And again we can see David really nice through the tunnel curve and unfortunately losing a little bit in the last turn due to the dirty air, but with the slipstream I think he'll be able to keep up with Alan quite nicely here. We have another, well I was going to say another fight, but it's not for position, but Lasina will be wanting to unlap himself from Vidal by the looks of things. Jason White has been able to stay ahead of Whited and Saber in their fight for top 10 honors now, I believe. Yep it is, as Whited is attacked by Saber, Saber looking to get into the top 10. And looks like the Riley 74 gets by the Eagle. As Whited gets up the inside again, going down towards turn 1 with a high top speed. David hanging tough around outside.
Nice side by side action.
Very much so, but I believe Whited has the higher top speed, so... Ooh, as both of them really on the limit. Wow.
That was very loose there.
Possibly Jason Whited is running low wings as well then. But David Saber round outside through the final turn, gets the position back again. So we have a pit caller by the looks of things, a couple of them. One Bruno Chacon with a lot of damage to his car. And unfortunately, Jakob Fröksen has been forced to retire with his crash. But no yellow this time either for Chacon's incident. So we have still the fight between Sabre and Whited. Looks like Sabre could possibly be looking to pull away now. And possibly trying to catch up with Jason White, who's about a corner ahead. Oh, we have car parts and everything. Let's see if we possibly have the yellow lights flashing. Nope, it's still no yellow, so that would have been
Chacon
Chacon's.
is in the pits without the rear left.
Yeah, that would have been Chacon's car parts then.
Yeah.
Let's see.
He should be quitting, I think.
Yeah. Let's see, we have Johnson in the lead with 14 laps to go.
They still have to make a pit stop. I think that's almost for sure. So let's see what happens, because there's 14 laps and it will be a splash and dash, and maybe it gets really tight till the end, because David Jacks has been so far much quicker than Austin Johnson in the pit stops.
It's definitely a possibility, as unfortunately David Jonatan has lost the position to Hackman. Here comes Ridal and Lacino running nose to tail. And of course Jason White running in 9th now, I believe. Here comes Sabre, looks like he's pulling away from Whited, if only by a little bit. So we have Johnson in 1st, Jakes 2nd, Forster 3rd, Hackman 4th, Jund 5th, Ridal 6th, Jereb 7th, Lacina 8th, Jason White 9th, David Sabre running out of top 10 with White at 11th, Lavach 12th, Fröksen unfortunately out. Chacon, if he keeps going, will get up into 13th. And if he keeps going, it's our last runner. Let's see what happens during the pit stops, because let's see, there's 3.3 seconds between Austin and David, so it'll be a very close call if there's less fuel to be put into any of the cars. So of course, as you say, if they are simply quicker at getting to their stalls.
Yeah, they have now to make several decisions. First of all, how much fuel do they need till the end of the race? Because if you put just one more gallon than you should, you are slower. Then also go for 4 tires or only for 2. That depends on the degradation that their tires have, what they did in the last pit stop. And then of course they have to calculate all that on the fly, because nobody here has any team crew doing it for you. They have to think about it meanwhile, and then with the hood, in this occasion they will have to put specific number of gallons that they want. So, well, there are several variables there, and anything could happen.
I wonder if anyone would brave it out and try to make it without a splash. Just to see if they can get a better finishing.
Tires? Just fuel?
No, you're not stopping at all. Just running on lower fuel average since the last stop, not pitting.
I'm not sure if they will be able to that, because it's already many laps ago that they pit. For the last time, there have been no yellows and there are still 11 to go.
Something to ponder if anyone stays out, but 10 laps to go next time by.
What they have to do is drive until they are completely dry. That's for sure, and hope for a yellow maybe or something like that. And if not, they have to pit on the green.
Right, so and now there's a bit of traffic by the looks of things to be counted into the for the leaders. Can't quite see from here, but let's jump up. It's Peter Lavac in the McLaren, so that's, even with them, it's not a slow car, so let's see if they are able to negotiate past him without losing too much time. For the race to keep being interesting, it would be nice if Austin loses just a tad bit more time with David behind.
No, but Peter
Lavac being a very
is
sporting...
driver. He's not going to interfere with this.
No, of course, he moves out of the way very sportingly. Good spatial awareness and very thoughtful of the overall race that's going on.
Another lap for Austin.
Well, I'm wondering if it wouldn't possibly be worth for David to jump in now and take 2 tires and a bit of fuel and try to run faster laps than Austin now.
So 8 to go now. Hard to believe that they can make it till the end. But we'll see.
Maybe that's what Austin's been trying with, not being as quick as he was before.
Maybe.
As here comes David on Peter. Let's see if Peter moves out of his way as nicely. Yep, he stays wide, nice and wide. If there were the hand-waving allowance in R Factor 1 now, I believe David would have put his hand up, but...
Now at this point, if I was David Jax and I knew that I have to stop in any case, I would be pitting already. Why? Because I would have pit. If there is suddenly a yellow, it would catch Austin on track.
Indeed. I think I'd agree with that. But of course, in the heat of the moment, maybe that's something you don't really think about. It looks like he's actually closing in just a little bit here.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, he is. He's gained 6/10 in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, probably Austin is realizing that he can't go on at the same rhythm. He wants to stretch a bit the field. He's very likely hoping for a yellow.
Possibly, and I'm wondering what the situation is for David.
I don't think it should be very different because both of them, I believe, pit at the same time. But yeah, David is visually catching up.
He's definitely racing the car now, trying to catch up. Ooh,
let's see how
big
he
wiggle.
Goes for the pit this time. Not yet. Oh, he just pressed the wall again.
Looks like he's sped up again though. And White is into the pits for his splash.
Wrong there. Something's really wrong there because maybe he didn't change all tires. I don't know, and tire wear is catching up with him because he's on Firestones, and so far he had not yet done a full stint on the Firestones. So maybe the degradation is starting to play a role because tires have much more degradation, whereas David Jax is on good years, and now towards the end of the stint is where you feel the differences.
Possibly.
Yet another lap for Austin. Maybe he's trying to make it till the end.
Here come... oh, sorry, I thought David was going to dive for the pits, but he didn't. He just had a moment.
No. 5 laps to go, and Austin Johnson, I believe, clearly is on an economy run.
Well, he's going quicker than David now, so I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but only because maybe he's not comfortable with David getting so close.
Well, possibly. Really difficult to tell, for sure. Let's have a quick look if there's been any other changes in the field. Doesn't look like it.
Hackman is attacking Forster now.
Okay, let's have a quick jump back there. And when the kink and Forster's really wide. Wow. And here comes...
goes for another lap without pitting.
Okay, and here goes...
Hackman gets pole position.
Very nicely done. Let's see if he can hold on down the straight though. Because Alan has a bit of a moment. And poor Bruno's still in the pits for his repairs. Yep, it looks like Hackman gets the position. Junt in the meantime is partly under attack from Ridol, so Junt can still lose position as here comes Ridol. Ridol of course has had help from... Actually Junt is running really slow down the straight.
And another lap for Austin. I think he's going to try to make it without pitting. Because there's only 2 laps to go now.
Oh, this will be really interesting. If he coughs and David doesn't, that will be one for the history books. Ooh, as David's really wide. Wow.
Yeah, he's definitely going for it. Now, no pit here.
This will be interesting. Let's see what happens.
199 laps, 1 lap to go. Let's see if he runs out of fuel now.
Well, I'm running on board with him now, so we'll hear if his engine starts to cough. Let's see. Through the kink. Still no problems. Really really going for it. Into the final turn we go. Keeping it nice and careful. And ooh, he actually brushes the wall, but the car is surviving and he crosses the finish line to win the Pocono 500. Fantastic drive from Austin, really masterful. David Yates gets second, so he still, I believe, still keeps himself in the Gold Star Championship hunt. And Adam Hackman finishes third with a really nice ending run to the race, going from 5th to 3rd. Alan Forster finishes 4th, Ray Ridol gets 5th. Raoul Jereb looks like he'll finish 6th here. David Junt is running really slowly. I think he's about to run out of fuel. So that's why he's running very slowly, but Ray Ridol gets 6th here. You see David Junt coming through the final turn to pick up 7th. As his engine is spluttering, so he's definitely out of fuel here. As his engine dies coming across the line. Montelasina gets 8th. 9th for Jason White. Big congratulations to Jason on picking up a top 10 finish here. Rounding out the top 10 is David Saber in that Riley 74. Really nice drive from David, considering he...
Austin Johnson putting a signature burnout there until the engine blows.
And Lavat's getting 11th, indeed. And White actually finishes 12th. And Bruno Chacon still in the pits for repairs.
David Jacks is listed as fuel.
Oh dearie me!
In the finish, second, but listed as fuel. Not sure what that means, but with fuel also for Alan Forster.
Everyone definitely.
They were all very tight on fuel. Well, in any case, remember that these are still unofficial results because we still have to check the fuel load for everybody.
Of course.
See if they used only 280 gallons. But I don't think there will be any problem with that with so many yellows.
Surely not. But a really nice race. if a little bit long, but really nice to watch and commentate on. Some really good battling going on. And
well, actually, yes, a bit longer than the real one, like 30 minutes more, but not a huge amount longer. So anyways, I have to go now. It's too late here. It was a pleasure to broadcast with you, Jonatan.
thank you, and the same to you. Always a pleasure and always a lot of fun.
And see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
User disconnected from your
So
channel.
big thank you to Alberto for joining me for this broadcast.
Error. Channel created.
And thank you also for everyone taking part in this event, of course, for putting on a really nice show. And yeah, just a really good bit of fun. I'll take a moment to go through again the upcoming events while we wait to see if anyone decides to join us for a quick post-race talk. But in the meantime, in terms of the upcoming events, we of course have the next round of the Can-Ams from Laguna Seca, I believe next weekend on the 23rd of September, and 3-4 days after that we have the first round from the New Zealand Touring Car Championship, from the New Zealand Grand Prix, the Manfield Circuit. One car still up for grabs, and that race of course the 26th of September. And I believe the weekend following on that, on the sorry, that's actually a few weeks later, it's the F1 71 race, round 8 from Österreichring, the Grosser Preis from Österreich. Unsure if we'll have a broadcast for that, but the previous two events will be broadcasted, hosted by me, and we'll see if I have anyone joining me for color commentary for that. But for now, actually, let's see.
User joined your channel.
And here we go. We have at least one quick chat to be had. David Yates, finished second. Congratulations on your incredible finish, mate.
Thank you very much. Very pleased. It was a long race, and definitely certain tense moments throughout. Even at the end there, it was pretty tight on fuel.
Yeah, from what Alberto could see, there were you and at least Alan was listed as ran out of fuel when you crossed the finish line.
Well, I ran out before I escaped, but I got my cool-down lap in. But yeah, it was very close. Congrats to Austin. He was obviously the class of the field. He would be able to get by almost at will, and I tried to do the repass on him, but that only lasted so long until he was able to string a couple together and pull right away. So he definitely deserves props for having it hooked up as good as he did.
Yeah, it was really impressive, but it looked like, as you said, you had a good fight with him, and looked like you and Peter Lavac had a lot of fights going through the first half of the race. I'd expect you to have sort of nightmares about that McLaren.
he kept coming up. That yellow McLaren was always right there. Actually, I think we had a little contact on the first restart. It seemed a couple times the restarts were real messy. Guys at the back were getting runs and drifted up. I got damage on the left side. I was pinned in the middle, and from that point forward, my car was always just a little bit on the loose side. That it would change anything. I'm pretty sure Austin was easily faster, but it would have been interesting for me to try it out with a clean car, see if I could maybe hang a little tighter, but that's racing.
That's understandable, but still you finished second, so I believe that still keeps you in the hunt for the Gold Star Championship that I believe you won 2 years on the trot, right?
Well, I think mathematically we're going to have to look at the leaderboard just to see how close it is, but no, I'm always pleased anytime I can have a good result, get to the finish line. Had good races and battles throughout the race. So yeah, that's always a good day. Championships happen on their own. You just got to go one race at a time, do as good as you can.
That's a very sound strategy to have, and on that I think we'll cap off the broadcast. Thank you very much for joining me for the post-race chat, and congratulations on your second place finish once again.
Thank you for your time and effort putting the broadcast out. I know a lot of people enjoy watching that. Congrats to all finishers, and congrats to everybody that tried, because certainly not the easiest cars to get around that big of a track and that long of a race. So good job, everybody. Thank you for the broadcast. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for enjoying it. But yeah, with that, thank you very much everyone for tuning in and for taking in the event, and congratulations to our finishers, and of course to Austin, David, and Adam particularly for getting on the podium. And until next weekend for the Can-Ams, take care and have a good week. Good night everyone.